Welcome, everybody. This is another edition of the Good Anime Palette Podcast. This is episode number 50, a big 5-0 for everyone involved. We have reached this milestone. Thank you very much for everyone joining us on this ride. You guys are the graham cracker and the s'mores that keeps us all together. I am your fluffy marshmallow weeb, Jason, known as Fluffy-sama. And next to me is my also wonderful co-host, the dark chocolate, a little bit smooth, little bit creamy, William Edgelord Sama.
I have never been propositioned like that before to be called a smooth, dark, creamy chocolate. Oof. But no, it feels great, dude. Half a century of
half a century.
Well, okay, no, but yeah, literally like half of a whole century of regular episodes for the GAP. We're not including.
Well, if we
ADs,
do one every year, then it would be a century. Yeah. But
we're not of course, including BPs and ADs, but we're well on our way to be producing a fuck ton of content. It's already been 2 years now. Actually, to be fair, it's not just only 50 regular episodes, but we're actually closing in on 2 full years of GAP.
Yeah, episode 0 came out, I think, January 26th.
And we started recording that January 23rd. So we're just under a week away from that day when the GAP actually got together and started recording the very first minutes of the podcast. So it's it's been a fucking journey. But we're not gonna try and reminisce too much because we've got a lot going on today. So we're gonna speed run through a couple things. Rewatch stuff. No, we're not gonna go over that.
Okay, we watched a lot of stuff,
and the reason for that is because today's topic, if you haven't already seen the title for the episode, is that we're going to be going over the sort of premiere / first impressions of winter 2023. That's right. It is time to begin the first fiscal year of anime, starting with the winter season. And initial inspection, it looks very interesting.
So, Will, we live in Hong Kong in the Northern Hemisphere, right? It's right now winter time, right?
Are we actually northern? We are actually slightly above the equator. Yeah.
Right. So technically Northern Hemisphere. Well, it's cold or cold-ish. It's damp and cold, right?
Yeah, true.
Other places in Japan would be snowstorm. In America, it's snowstorming. It's crazy.
Unless you're in Okinawa, then you're not. You're in a snowstorm. You're just in a fuck ton of humidity and rain. But around this time, usually Japan gets a lot of rain.
The winter 2023 anime season is not like the Northern Hemisphere, but the Southern Hemisphere because it is red hot. At least that's how I feel about it. Maybe Will kind of agrees, kind of disagrees, but we will get into that.
It's somewhere in between, really. But before we go into that, we've got a couple of not even a couple. We've got several news articles that we're going to go over. Some of which we just breeze past. Some of which we maybe spend a couple minutes, maybe 10 minutes, just to really decipher and dissect what the hell's going on here. So there are 2 new adaptations that are coming out. Starting off with the first one, which is Whisper Me a Love Song by Eku Takeshima. That one is going to be getting a TV anime very soon. I actually need to open up the news article. So, Jason, wait, is this the one that you actually read from start to finish?
It's not finished, but it is a girl love anime manga. Now will be an anime, and it has maybe 5-6 volumes currently out, and I think it is. It's not 7 Seas. I think it is Kodansha. I need to double check.
Yeah, Kodansha USA Publishing is the one that's doing the print for English. Currently, 5 volumes out digitally. Well, the 5th one will be out digitally. Released last year in May, and then in print July in 2022.
Yeah, has a MAL score of 8.12, rank 510, and is the 3rd highest ranked girl love manga on my anime list. So if you exclude Bloom Into You, and if you exclude Yuru Yuri, Whisper Me a Love Song is on there.
Yeah, so at the moment, no studio announced, but they have,
The illustration.
the directors, in terms of the people who are doing like the animation production supervision, whoever's directing this shit. So that at least is confirmed. But when it will come out, who in terms of the studio is going to be producing it, that is that remains to be seen.
I would say maybe spring of next year.
Probably. The other one is also,
but it's just really sweet. It's like Bloom Into You, roughly, in terms of tone and just maturity. It's about a girl who's really good at playing guitar.
We'll I mean, not me, but Jason will get into it when it finally releases and airs sometime in 2024.
Timestamp this shit.
The other one that got an adaptation is a manga called The Girl I Like Forgot Her Glasses. This was announced just a couple days ago by Square Enix. It will be premiering this year, actually, so very, very soon. It's got a little illustration that was published on Twitter, their official Twitter, the official manga Twitter account. This was, let's see. Oh, yeah. They were actually hosting a countdown just earlier this year.
And they, I think, released the first volume of their manga digitally. It's been compiling on Manga Up, I think, which is Square Enix's digital manga platform. I've read it. It's very cute if you think, like, teasing Master Takagi-san or, hint, hint, Kubo-san. You roughly get The Girl I Like Forgot Her Glasses, except it's like a different variation, a different riff. But it is very comfy, and it's just cute. Cute puppy love romance stuff. So,
cool.
Excited.
Yep. So we mentioned Kodansha earlier, and the next two articles, we can probably just do them together because they're pretty much related. So Kodansha on one side has ended simultaneous publications of manga distribution on Azuki and among other platforms as well. This also coincides with Kodansha removing 16 manga titles from Crunchyroll on January 31st. So after this episode releases, 2 weeks from now, there's going to be a lot fewer manga series that'll be on the Crunchyroll service.
So, from what I can tell, I'm subscribed to Azuki. Unfortunately, I don't know how long I would be subscribed to it because for the longest time, one of the reasons why I really liked that service was it was relatively cheap, and also because it has a large catalog of Kodansha titles. And they still retain a lot of the old stuff. But I think like the Simulpub chapters that are ongoing, they are not going to continue. So it's a very unfortunate, but I also think the reason why they're pulling all these deals away is because they are going to inevitably release their own digital manga platform, because that's essentially, seems to me, the most logical explanation to why they've done all this.
Or they're just renegotiating, license agreements.
Like NHK and Netflix.
I mean, honestly, it's hard to really confirm what's going to happen. I wouldn't be surprised, of course, since the fact that there are a lot more new manga platforms, digital platforms that are popping up. So look, Kodansha Digital, I wouldn't be surprised with it. At least in regards to the situation with Azuki, there are a couple of series that are going to be affected by this. So, for example, like A Sign of Perfection, Cardcaptor Sakura, Clear Card, Drifting Dragons, Eden Zero, Space Brothers, Ghost in the Shell, Human Algorithm, The World of Summoning, To Your Eternity, Tapu GP, and Wave Listen to Me. So those will be affected on the Azuki platform.
So Wave Listen to Me, Eden Zero, Clear Card, Cardcaptor Sakura. Obviously, I love A Sign of Affection, and I think there was one more that you mentioned.
To Your Eternity?
Yes. So those are the ones that I think are the most well-known titles among that list of properties, and it's just unfortunate. But
on Crunchyroll, it's the same ones, but also including things like Farewell, My Dear Kramer, Fairy Tail, Fire Force, Inspector, the Slime Isekai, as in the one the time I got reincarnated as a slime, not Slime 300, and also UQ Holder. Everything else is pretty much the same. So let's see what's going on. I think that in terms of Jason's prediction that there's going to be a digital platform for Kodansha.
Well,
that is entirely possible.
Oh, sorry. A bit too loud there. My bad. Also, because in addition to the statement for the Crunchyroll kind of pulling the plug on that, Kodansha basically said that They will have updates due to changes in its Simulpub distribution program, and they will have an announcement regarding Simulpubs in the coming months. So I don't know how more obvious on the nose you can be about, hey guys, we're doing something. There's a reason why. We'll let you know when we finish developing our platform.
Yep. And then as announced, reassessing the distribution of its English language chapter-based content. Any updates on the exact nature of this reassessment will be shared at a future date. That was after Anime News Network reached out to Kodansha USA Publishing in regards to the removal of chapters and titles on Azuki. So there's really no additional information other than the fact that, like, as we reported, they're just reassessing the situation. Does that mean they're going to redo any license agreements? Are they going to actually pull everything together and actually, launch their own digital platform? That remains to be seen. So as soon as there are any updates on this, we will report it in the coming months.
All right. Will, are we going to continue on with the other more weirder, cooler pop culture stories, or are we just going to move on?
No, let's talk about it. I mean, like, we've talked about many a time how, manga and anime are in the mainstream, and this was probably one of the highest points so far this year. I mean, the year is still very young. We're only like 2 weeks in. But in terms of American football, NFL, there are two tidbits.
Wait, how are the Seahawks doing?
They got into the playoffs.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
But they lost to the Niners in the wild card round.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, they were doing fine up until the fourth quarter and then just got destroyed. So I think they were down by I think the final score was like 41-23, something like that. It was a good run. I did not expect the Seahawks to make the playoffs, but at least we got into one round of the playoffs. That's great. But this is not about the Seahawks. This is not about the playoffs. Rather, we're going to be talking about the Detroit Lions because, I mean, look, like, are you guys even in the same division? By you guys, I'm assuming you're a Patriots fan.
It's just that I just don't like Detroit Lions.
Secretly, they'll be doing pretty well. They also have a pretty nice team culture because they have a very, very renowned weeb on their team named Jamaal Williams, who bonds with his teammates not just through the art of football but also through the art of anime. And just this past Sunday Night Football, when the Detroit Lions were doing their little player reel where they introduced themselves and which university they go to, Jamaal Williams went on literally with the Naruto headband on his face.
Can it be actually charged with copyright? Can't be, right?
Well, gray area.
But if he substitute jitsu, they can just blame the substitute, right?
He's popped a bunch of jitsus when he's done other interviews. So he's done all the hand signs and all that stuff. But literally, he introduces himself as Swag Kazakage, leader of the Hidden Village of the Dead. And
God, it's so nerdy. I love it. Oh my God, it's so good. Sorry, I just moved the mic closer to my face. I just realized that's how I got the wave files. Is going to be interesting. But
so this only happened like a day after another bit of anime meets NFL news, where on Saturday, just this past Saturday, the Jacksonville Jaguars tweeted an Attack on Titan anime inspired poster for their game against the Tennessee Titans. They ended up winning that game 20-16 and was able to clinch their division title and advance into the postseason playoffs for the very first time since 2017. So it was great because the quarterback, which is Trevor Lawrence, is essentially Aaron Yeager, and the running back for the Titans, Derrick Henry, who's a beast, by the way, is depicted as the Titan. And then the wall is
Titan.
Dude, have you ever seen Derrick Henry play? That guy is a fucking tank. If there was like in any realm where like we had a human who actually would become a tank Titan, it'd be him. So
there's a cart. I'm not
gonna say,
I'm not gonna say anything.
Dude, it's over, man. Everybody's already like shat on like the renditions of from Mappa about Attack on Titan final season. Who cares? Spoilers, fuck you. You should have already watched and read everything about Attack on Titan already. But no, the main focus here is that like it's cool. It's fun because like just earlier in the football season when the Chargers released their game schedule,
and they had like a video,
and it was brutal. It was fucking rude
with like sick references that like like the intersection of weebdom and
the sick
sports
burns
and NFL knowledge is so niche that I just kind of dig it because I kind of get it, but I also be like, guys, you guys are.
And for the most part, a lot of like the NFL correspondents, people who were in the media, were like, "This shit is absolutely awesome," because as foreign as anime was to them, they also just saw how it was like meshed well with all the fucking like harsh burns that the Chargers had on all of the other teams.
It was extremely intricate, and they cut deep. Bro.
And you watch football, but it's not like you're like that into football.
Well,
but, like, but watching it as well, it's like, yeah, fuck that team. Oh, that team sucked.
It's like a carousel merry-go-round because you kept rotating players. I totally get it, like for real. So, hey, apparently a lot of NFL football players just really are weebs.
So many weebs.
So what we're trying to say is
football's great and anime is great.
And
put the two together.
Stay tuned next year when Will and I try out for NFL during the tryouts during spring.
Dude, no. Dude, those guys are like 280 pounds, 6'3".
What I mean by try, I mean we'll try to go there.
Try to go out there.
Yeah, out there.
Try out.
Touch grass, exactly. Touch the grass, and then we peace out, and then start recording another episode. Okay.
So we got two bits of rather bizarre news. Should we do the Belarus one first?
Yeah. So the government of Belarus has passed a law on January 3rd, basically allowing its residents to pirate audiovisual media and computer software from Japan. Essentially relates to media, manga, and anime. Legalizing it, meaning you pirate it, we good. And the reason why is kind of obviously political, is because the government of Belarus considers Japan to be an quote-unquote unfriendly nation.
Yeah, now remember, this is not representative of our views or just basically like what we're trying to tell people. We're literally repeating this verbatim.
The part that really gets to me is that the bill describes audiovisual material as movies, music, and TV shows, right? So that's fine. But then deemed it essential for the domestic market.
Anime is needed in Belarus right now.
So if you ever see the GDP of Belarus these days, you can then think back to Attack on Titan, Jujutsu Kaisen, and be like, you guys...
Demon Slayers saved Belarus. That's what we're going to be talking about
facts,
soon.
True story.
What's weird is, so basically it's like the law is aimed to develop the quote-unquote intellectual and spiritual and moral potential of society and to reduce the critical shortage in the domestic market of food and other goods.
So if you guys ever thought that harems were great, in like pseudo-incest or weird family relationships, these are the moral pinnacles of society according to the government of Belarus.
They don't just need food. They also need food wars. That's literally it. You can't have food without the food wars in there too.
So rather than having...
double political, that's what it is.
All the pieces of the pie, you just need one piece, but that one piece is the whole pie. That kind of thing. Okay.
Yep.
Other unfriendly nations also include...
Oh, so many.
There's a lot, but the ones that I'm just going to mention is Australia, United Kingdom, obviously the EU, obviously America, Taiwan, Ukraine, obviously New Zealand, and just a bunch of...
Canada's in there too, right?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, represent, bro.
Canada's so friendly. Come on. Well, I mean,
we try. How about you declare war and then apologize for it?
No, dude, I'm not declaring anything here. I'm staying out of this.
But you know what Australia did?
Yeah,
so
they're not staying out of anything. They're getting your hands on everything there is.
So I went to school in Australia. So I was there when they made kind of this original ban, but not about this news story. So let me just go for the news story first. Australia bans the import and sales of How Not to Be a Demon Lord Omega, a.k.a. Season 2 of the anime.
How not to summon.
What'd I say?
How not to be.
Well, if you're... Yeah. So you're not being it, you're summoning it, so it's the other person. Okay,
yeah.
Fair.
So
How Not to Summon a Demon Lord Season 2.
So the Australian Classification Board, you should, know everything about their business, right?
They banned Mortal Kombat, so I couldn't buy it that one year. It was really annoying. But just to be clear... The anime is still available for streaming, so that's kind of like, okay.
Yeah,
it is just the banning.
Literally, the law that they put in was that it cannot be sold, hired, advertised, or legally imported in Australia, but nothing about digital streaming.
Yeah,
so that's where it's like that's the fine print.
Yeah, and the reason why I knew something like this was relatively there was because they've been cracking down on violence and
like video games.
Yeah, but also let's just say without saying the word,
I'll say it, lolly.
Yeah, okay, not the other word. Please don't say the other word. So a while back, Australia created a stir because they had to essentially ban or limit the exposure of certain adult actresses that have really small boobs. And this is a real thing. You can Google it and look at the story. It was kind of wild.
The whole thing is that, okay, this was like back in 2010. And
Yeah.
here we are in 2023, and we're still talking about it. Like it's
such
wild.
a wild story, and it's real. Like I was living there at the time, and I didn't think it was real.
Not to mention as well, it's not just so much that like a lot of stuff gets banned or restricted or like censored in Australia, but the stuff that does get through, it's also insanely expensive. Right? Like I remember like people talking about how video games themselves were extremely pricey.
It was like, I think I ended up buying a game for 90 Australian dollars once.
And how much is that converted to like Hong Kong or US dollars? So like 90 Australian dollars. Do you remember what game it was? It definitely wasn't GTA.
No, it was one of those games that they had to ban, kind of, but not. It was like
they had heavy restrictions.
Yeah, they had a grace period, so then they banned that. I think it was actually Mortal Kombat because they banned the sale of the local publishing, but you can at the time import. So it was about 500 Hong Kong dollars. So
oh my god,
that's like
60 to 70, like $70 US.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Jesus Christ! And games are usually only like half that price. Holy fuck!
Well,
not anymore.
Not anymore.
Inflation.
But the point that I'm trying to make is, Australia decided to, ban another thing, which turns out to be anime. Which is kind of funny.
Now, have you read or watched any of Demon Lord?
I don't give a fuck about how to not summon a Demon Lord.
Because to be honest, it's like, I mean, anywhere else, it's not that there's censorship, but it's obviously like of that material where it wouldn't be surprising that there would be some restrictions imposed on it. So,
well, does the Demon Lord have a harem of concubines?
I mean, the fact that like you look at the poster and there's a demon there, but there's also like 5 sets of really massive other assets in there too.
But what about the non-assets?
Yeah, like, bro, like, okay, when you see the poster, you know what you're getting. So it's not to say that like how to not summon the demon, how not to summon a Demon Lord shouldn't have been restricted or whatnot. Like they were kind of asking for it, but I don't know. I feel like it's just Australia's deal. The banning stuff, censoring stuff is very much their prerogative, and I can't really give much of an experience on that because I've never lived or even been to Australia before.
I owe a great deal of debt to Australians and Australia. I think Australia is a great country to live in, but obviously no country is perfect. And I have to say, though, you can ban a lot of other things. This ban, though, I approve. I just have to say, it's kind of dumb.
Good job.
Kind of love it. And you still gave them, if you want it, you can stream it. You don't have to buy it, but you can stream it. So, hey, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, better. Don't spend your money. Just, you already have a subscription to access it. Just use that. That's essentially what you're doing.
Yeah, and then because Australia doesn't have unlimited data, they have data caps there. So
they do?
Good luck using the national broadband service. That's a little inside joke for all you Australians down under who will know what I mean. It really sucks.
But it's not a good day then, right?
The NBS, yeah, it's not great. It's like, was it the Boston, the Great Dig, the Big Dig?
Don't know about
that tunnel
that
cost like $10,000 billion over a long span of time? They kind of did that.
billion gajillion, whatever the amount of money. It was a stupid amount of money.
It was a stupid amount of money, and it was still shitty, the end product. But whatever, here we are talking about it on the 50th episode of the Good Anime Palette Podcast, and that wraps up all of our anime news for you. But it's not the end of the first half because
hell no, we're far from it.
first of all, Will and I have decided to do our cleanup picks for Cleanup 4, which we will watch and record.
So just as a reminder, this is the Anime Closet Cleanup, where both Jason and I have really, really, really long plan to watch lists on my anime list that we just have never gotten around to. I think I'm up to like around like 180 titles that I have on my plan to watch list. I think you have like 500 or so, if not more. Last I checked. I had to check in because I needed to pick stuff out for your.
Yeah, I saw you added like stuff like 9 hours ago, and
I added one.
nice.
I added one because I looked at it. I was like, okay, you know what? This was something I did want to check out. I just haven't been as active in terms of looking through the database and actually adding stuff to my PTW. But yeah, here we are.
792 on my plan to watch list. My plan to read list is even longer. 854.
It's not so much that it's because there's a lot more stuff you want to read. It's just the fact that like you don't have much time to watch anime, and even less so for manga. Is that what it is?
I have an anime and manga podcast, kind of. So
we have an anime podcast, which does talk about some manga, so you can be forgiven to not cover manga as often.
Well, we're trying to bridge that gap ever so slightly. But
hint, hint, ASAP too.
But okay, so
should we just go quickly summarize the rules, or at least like how to go about doing this anime closet cleanup, because we have extensive rules, but maybe just like
according to Will and reading it again, I do agree it's extremely convoluted between us. I was going to upload it to our website and then realized that maybe I should rejigger it. Basically it gives us an excuse to talk about animes that may not be connected to one another in terms of theme, genre, or studios, as well as, clean up our list of plan to watch list. We might have some extracted from each other's list that we pick, and we basically pick 4, right?
4, and then
4 curs,
yeah,
equivalent. So if there's
I think it was 5 curs max. So it could be a mix mash of like 3 curs and then a movie, or 4 to maybe 5 curs, like only anime.
Yeah,
whatever,
and
maybe.
one movie is considered a cur, and basically we draw it from a hat, and then we will talk about it when it is our cleanup, which I think is like episode
53.
Soonish.
Because 51 is already recorded. Spoiler alert. 52 should be the gotta watch them all, or the ASAP, the anime adaptation.
I think
primer.
that's 56.
Okay.
Anyways, enough about our schedule. So Will and I will pick out from a hat.
I just leaked everything, huh?
Yeah, it's just I'm just gonna skip by that real quick.
I should just redact it. I just have an audio bleep over it.
It's like, oh, we are experiencing technical difficulties. Please wait while we connect you back to this pre-recorded segment of the Good Anime Palette podcast.
Just start beating the shit out of me. Why the fuck are you telling everybody what we're doing?
I'm sorry. We are now still on hold for the Good Anime Palette podcast pre-record. Okay, anyways. So, Will, do you want to pick first, or you want to pick mine, or I pick yours? How do you want to do this? Oh, no, pick your own. I think that's what we're going to do.
So, basically, Jason will have 10 total to choose from, and then I will also have 10 total to choose from. And at the end of it, we will have 4 series/movies to watch over the course of however long it may be, up until we record the next episode of the Anime Closet Cleanup.
And the reason why we are sort of picking it live is not only because it's a little bit fun, but also to give you guys ample time to seek these out. So if you do want to hear our thoughts on it, or want to watch along and hear our thoughts on it after you consumed it, here it is. So, Will, right now, we are going to do your picks, okay? So, I have here separated into 2 sets of 5. 5 from my plan to watch, 5 from yours. So, let's start with yours. Your plan to watch list on your side of the cleanup. So, to reiterate, Will can pick 2 from the following 5 from a hat, and these include Usagi Drop, Furikuri, known as FLCL, Madoka Magica, Bento, or Darling in the Franxx.
Puella, Magi, Madoka Magica. It's okay. So Usagi Drop, FLCL, Bento, Darling in the Franxx. if it was like if I had it in a perfect world, the two I would really really want to watch are Bento and Darling in the Franxx. For like, well, okay, Bento just because I'm curious, and Darling in the Franxx because research. It's cultured. So, for pick number 1, this is a classic, Fully Cooley.
Oh, okay.
That's a 6-episode OVA, right?
Yes, it is.
And then the other one, please, Bento Franxx. I'm glad it's not the manga because it's Usagi Drop.
Okay.
Man, if I had to read the manga,
no, you're done.
Yeah, no, if I had to read the manga, it would be a very very different experience, right?
You just don't read the epilogue. That's all you got to do, really. All right. So now Will is gonna pick the other 5 from among the 5 from my plan to watch list.
I already know which ones I want to watch.
Which includes Aldo Noah Zero, Date Alive, Makuya, When the Promised Flower Blooms, Citrus, which is like my troll pick, and Records of Grand Crest War.
Funny enough, Citrus is one of them that I want to watch just because I just have to know.
It's the worst, best melodrama show manga ever.
And then Date Alive as well as like
I actually want to know about that,
same,
to be honest.
because season 4 was crazy in terms of its mouse score.
It's like 7.8, 7.9, which is the first one.
Oh, god damn it. I got Alt Noah 0. Okay.
I mean, the Mecha show, right?
Yeah, that's I watched
There's
the
2
Mecha
seasons,
I
right?
watched the Mecha for the last cleanup.
Yeah, but
2 seasons of it too.
Promare's okay, right?
Of course I wouldn't get anything I wanted. Makia, When the Promised Flower Blooms.
Hey, that's a really good movie, apparently.
Apparently. Okay.
Apparently.
So just to reiterate, Fully Cooley, Usagi Drop, Makia, When the Promised Flower Blooms, and Alt Noah 0 are the 4 series / movies that I'm going to be covering for the next iteration of the Anime Closet Cleanup. Now, it will be up to Jason to go over his one. So Jason's got a couple of that I carried over as well. So the ones that he could pick out would be from my plan to watch list: The Count of Monte Cristo, or Gankutsu, that's the one I carried over. Batum with 3 O's. Penguin Drum, Nobunaga Concerto, and Charlotte.
So I kind of don't want to pick Penguin Drum because the movies, which are the new ones, are airing right around now. So I'm picking, right?
I'm shuffling them, and then here you go.
All right.
The one out of this, of course, okay. So The Count of Monte Cristo has been on this like plan to watch list.
I carried it over like 5 times.
So many times. Will it finally happen?
I'm telling you, if I'm gonna drop it from the carryover if it doesn't get it.
Yeah, no, I think it's
Nobunaga
Concerto. Okay, that one I actually do want to know.
I saw that was rather interesting.
Pretty
and then
highly rated.
Charlotte.
Okay. Unfortunately,
one of these days I will watch The Count of Monte Cristo, but again, not for today. Or at least not for the cleanup.
Look, maybe we'll cover it in like a reader watch that we do sometime in the future. Unfortunately, for the 4th time, it still hasn't happened. So
maybe we'll do like a Western properties that ends up being an anime, because there's kind of a few actually of them.
Yeah. So I mean, there's so many things we can do with this podcast. So we will find ways to introduce stuff from the past, present, and the future in one shape or form. So on to the next draw for Jason, the final draw for the Anime Closet Cleanup. From Jason's plan to watch list, Sakano, or How to Raise a Boring Girlfriend, which is another one that I carried over. Detroit Metal City, which actually had featured in an old pickup. I think it was either in the Closet Cleanup 2 or maybe even the first one. Drifters, which is one I watched and I really want Jason to check out. High School DxD, please, the censored version. And
No. What are you talking about?
Okay, fine. I'll give you.
I get to choose whatever version I want to watch.
I'll give you the Blu-ray. Fine. And then the last one, which is the first movie that I have out of the lists for Jason, Into the Forest of Fireflies Light.
When I first saw it,
Firefly,
I was like, oh no, is it Grave of the Fireflies? I'm like, fucking don't do this to me.
Well, you already watched it, so of course it's not going to be in there.
But what also is not there anymore, because I picked it, is the DDs.
You got it! You got High School DxD, nice, okay.
Oh, and Drifters.
Okay, awesome. I would have liked you to check out Detroit Metal City. I actually think I'm just going to drop Saikano from now on because Saikano has featured a couple times and it just hasn't happened. So there's probably going to be a genre up in the future that will be able to go over Saikano, How to Raise a Boring Girlfriend.
Again, the thing is that other than, I guess, troll picks, which are like half trolly, there is no bad choices, only good choices and really good choices. So there's a reason why these are all on our plan to watch list, and that's why we do want to have an excuse to watch them and give you our thoughts on them. So just to repeat, the ones that we'll have to watch is Usagi Drop, Furikuri, known as FLCL, Aldenoa Zero, and I'm just going to say When the Promised Flower Blooms. Makia. On my side, it is Nobunaga Concerto, Charlotte, Drifters, and High School DxD. That's it, guys. It's
cool.
That's it for our closet cleanup for season 5.
Yeah. So before we go into the break, we are now going to go into just a little bit of a preamble into our main discussion topic, which if you've already seen from the episode title, we are going over Winter 2023. Now, as always, we have to go over the disclaimer that we didn't watch every single show that premiered.
Oh, do you know? So one of our listeners decided to sort of send me a message and was like, Jason, there is just 2 things I know is almost guaranteed from any given episode. It is either a disclaimer or either a dictionary definitions and a distinction between these definitions. And I'm like,
well, you're
not wrong.
But we have to do it as well.
Yeah, but we have to.
Sometimes we can't always guarantee that everybody's watched everyone's listened to the previous iterations of whatever format we have.
And we're like rule goblins.
Plus, it's written here, so we might as well read them, right?
So I just paste it each time. But.
Yeah. So. In the sense that not every show has been watched, there are a couple of reasons. One, it's just straight up overkill. But 2, there are also some series that are sequels, and we haven't necessarily gone around to actually finishing up the previous seasons.
I pasted spring premieres,
and then but we'll watch more throughout the spring anime season.
Okay, winter anime season. For fuck's sake, come on, Will.
Now, there's other things in here as well. So we are only talking about TV new. So as in our previous,
no Blue Lock,
no continuing, no movies,
no To Your Eternity, no movies. These are new seasonals that would be on any Crunchyroll, Netflix, High Dive, their lineup essentially.
Now there are some exceptions, and we have done this in the past where we include a couple of original net animations or ONAs, but it's
basically Netflix.
It's because some of them were super fucking hype, like Katara Lives Alone. That was actually a really fucking good one that came out a couple seasons ago, and hey, we had to talk about it. Now, for the most part, I guess also it used to be down to how the episodes were released. So it was either, for the most part, 3 weeks or even 4 weeks sometimes into the season itself, so we would have enough to watch to do the 3-episode rule and really give a firm kind of early review of what to check out and what's not hot at all. And then there was one time, literally the previous seasonal review that we did, which was more of a sort of primer. We were just sort of
a forecast. We looked at the sources and stuff.
Yeah, this time around we're just 2 weeks in. So there's some stuff that already is on episode 2 or 3. Some of them have just released their first episode in the past few days, and I think there's only 2 or 3 that are left that haven't released anything yet.
So we will always try to get kind of a sweet spot between watching enough to get a conclusion on how we feel about our initial impressions, as well as give you ample time to sort of get on the bandwagon or get on the hype train. So
yeah. Now the next part of this as well is usually we would have a seasonal bet. Unfortunately, there are 2 reasons why we do not have a seasonal bet for winter 2023. 1, we just didn't have enough time to plan out how to go about it. And 2, for the 4th time running, I have been utterly defeated by Jason in yet another seasonal bet. So as a recap, rather than doing, how many 8s are going to be in this specific season, we decided, why don't we do a little kind of draft and just pick which ones we think are going to perform the best, add the scores, and then the cumulative average, that would be the final score for the end of that seasonal bet. So as a reminder, for Jason, he had picked out Chainsaw Man, 4th season of Golden Kamui, Blue Lock, Uruma-kun Season 3, The Eminence in Shadow, and Do It Yourself. As for myself, I picked Mob Psycho 100 Season 3, Part 2 of Spy X Family, More Than a Married Couple But Not Lovers, Reincarnated as a Sword, and I'm the Villainess, so I'm taming the Final Beast, with Urusei Yatsura 2022 rendition, closing out my 6.
Final boss, not final beast.
Oh, final boss, yep. So, to be fair, it wasn't like that far apart, but my average came to 7.8016, or just basically 7.8, and Jason's was an astounding 8.108, with a score difference of 0.306 recurring. So almost a whole, basically the difference between
a plus or minus sign, right? Basically,
the difference between a B minus and a B plus.
So
you win again. Feels good, doesn't it?
It was fine.
Yeah, that's the main reason why we're not doing another seasonal bet, because I have been just utterly destroyed. Imagine not making the playoffs 4 seasons in a row. Come on, man. You got to give me a break. We'll figure shit out for the next one, though. So for spring 2023, we will have something a little bit more planned out.
I mean, I know it's already too late to do these because it's, we're going back in time, but it would have been kind of interesting because a lot of shows are very tightly packed in a certain range.
We did have the initial observation that it was going to be relatively mid-heavy, and the stats kind of show it.
Above mid.
By mid, I mean in the 7 to 8 range. Because so far there have only been 3 shows that are 8 and up. Nothing that's been a 9 and up, but a whopping 63%, or 2/3 of the anime season, is ranked between 7, scored between 7 and 7.99.
For what it's worth, in the past, usually there's around 49, 50 something shows that are considered new on my anime list, and usually the distribution in terms of the most is usually from the 6.00 to 6.99s, and to be fair, that's what I would call mid, in the sense of passes, but not really worth your time, but not a waste of your time. It's just that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's funny you say that there used to be 50 to 60 shows. The past year actually has been 45 to 50. Before that was even fewer because of COVID. But then before COVID, that was when we had anywhere from 50 to 60 shows. I think it's slowly getting back up in terms of having more shows per season. I think this is very it's a very interesting season. And I know interesting is not a good word to use to describe this, but when we go into the second half, we'll explain why it's an interesting season.
But here's a bit of an intro to this. So the anime subreddit also is a very well-known kind of resource when it comes to anime news, reviews, and impressions and discussions. They release a karma ranking, which is kind of like their points currency system for week 1. Will, are you looking at the infographic right now? Do you see number 1?
Yeah, I don't buy it. To be fair, there's a running theme as to how the top 5 were picked, but
you should see Anime Corner. It's even fucking worse.
I don't even look at Anime Corner because that just it's the complete opposite of how it will align with my tastes in anime and manga. But this, on the other hand, is it's very weird. At the top of the list, so the karma ranking, karma score of 4,080. Again, I actually don't even know how the scores are calculated, but
it's upvotes.
Number 1 is Tomo-Chan as a girl. Number 2 is carried over from the previous season, The Eminence of Shadow. I mean, it's in Shadow. Magirevo Tensei Ojo, or the Reincarnated Princess and Genius Lady. Number 3, which I do agree with. That one's a good one. Danmachi Season 4 is 4th, and Onimai is 5th. I'm not even going to go over the rest of them because there's so many. I don't agree with a lot of them, but then again, it's that's just me. I'm just one voice out of a sea of other people, so.
Well, you will hear it after the break. Are essentially our thoughts. And I think this time around, it might be more contested than usual because Will and I have not really shared our thoughts with one another more, like a little bit.
We definitely shared a lot of thoughts about one show in particular, though.
Oh, yeah.
We will get into that.
I have not watched it, by the way. I did it on purpose, but I just need you to convince me otherwise. Anyways.
Oh, no, I'm talking about... You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, you do. Anyways, before we go to the break, we're going to go very, very quickly in terms of some of the stuff that we are not going to go over because of a plethora of reasons. Either
how about because if we don't go over them, you will know because we didn't go over them.
Yeah. But just so that we can be a little pedantic.
Okay, sure.
It's either that we watched a couple minutes of it and just got bored or just not interested enough to check it out. We might not have had enough time to watch it, or the main one is these are sequels that we just didn't catch up with in terms of like the previous seasons.
Okay, Will, can we just start with the dumb one, which is I want to spend a little bit of time talking about the Ice Blade Sorcerer Shall Rule the World.
Oh, that one sucked.
Because you told me a little bit about it, and I just kind of chuckled quite a bit. So, Will, first of all, explain to me the name of one of the female characters.
Oh, Caroline?
What a great-ass name. It's so good and so dumb. I loved it. And then what else was it? So there was like color coding system.
Basically,
for this.
I said, I'm just pulling up the
go ahead.
The WhatsApp chat. So Ice Blade Sorcerer is bland and generic, in which you then replied with that one of your colleagues said like there was a 30-second like dude bro quick panel montage and two bros went from adversaries to bromance.
Wait, is that true?
Yes, that is true.
Oh my god. Like literally in the span. Okay.
Yeah. So it's like as a very general summary of what the show is, it's an elite magic school where classmates shit on a kid that's a muggle, but it turns out that kid he's got good magic. He's magic good.
But is he an Ice Blade Sorcerer?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I haven't seen the blade or the sorcerer part. There's a lot of ice. I only watched like one episode. There's also like a little magic ranking in there that like has like ascensions through color. So it's like I don't remember what the lowest level is, but it's like there's like yellow, orange, red, all the way through up to like sacred, which is not a color, but you know, sacred begins with an S, and S is S tier.
Oh my god. Yeah. Okay. Go. Okay.
You only just got that?
I only just got that.
Yeah. See, he's not even a color. His last name is his name is Ray White. White not even being a color.
No. His name is not Ray White. His name is Ray, right?
No, his name is Ray White. His rank is not White. His name is Ray White. They gave him the most bottom tier trash name, straight up. This is like literally if you want to talk about the generic anime jackpot, this is it right here. Do not bother unless that's what you want, then sure.
So you rolled a couple of isekai dices, and this is what the combination that came up.
It's not even an isekai. It's just a fantasy, like, generic anime.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I didn't know. I just assumed, and that was my bad.
Because the title, it would give that kind of impression, right? So, enough about Ice Blade Sorcerer Should Rule the World. The other series we're not going to go into are Danmachi, or is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon?
Because I just don't like it. It's
fourth season, part 2.
It's just whatever.
Tsurune the Linking Shot, which is the second season of Tsurune. I think both Jason and I only watched 2 episodes of season 1.
Okay, I thought it was very pretty. Archery is really cool.
But that's about it.
Kids.
And it's
KyoAni. So that's about it. Same thing with Bofuri, or also known as Max Defense Isekai. I did not finish the first season, but it got a high 7.61, I think, and it is a really good show. So
Misfit of Demon King Academy.
Very dumb. I watched parts of the first season. Do also want to finish it, but I didn't get around to it, so I can't watch season 2.
Yep. Other stuff that we're not covering is the reincarnation of the strongest exorcist in the world, because it's boring. Don't toy with me, Miss Nagatoro's second attack.
Wait, what? We're not covering it?
Oh man, if only I managed to finish, the first episode. Anyways, the vampire dies in no time, season 2, because we didn't watch the first season.
I just thought it was okay.
D4 DJ all mixed season 2, because I don't even know what the hell that is. By the Grace of the Gods season 2, because
it's on Netflix,
it's
right?
on Netflix.
It was like very meh.
Yeah, Fire Hunter because it was boring. Giant Beasts of Ours. Fire? Yeah, Giant Beasts of Ours because it was boring.
Wait, ours as in like you and I?
No, ARS. I forgot.
Like augmented reality system.
No, it's not even fully capitalized. I think ours is the world that they live in. It's a shit world. The Tale of... Actually, hey, Giant Beasts of Ours is like a really, really bad version of Attack on Titan because it's the same premise. People live in a walled city and giant beasts are trying to break in and eat them.
Of ours.
Yes. That's literally it. It sucks. The Tale of Outcasts, Revenger, kind of the Great Snow Sea.
You didn't like Tokyo Revengers?
Revenger.
Oh, okay.
But I will have my thoughts about Tokyo Revengers, the Christmas arc. We already talked about Ice Blade Sorcerer. Ayakashi Triangle, it sucks, but it's somehow still like on Jump Plus.
Yeah, it's
manga.
a very well-known Shonen Jump manga.
That hasn't been killed off yet?
I don't know why, but okay,
Yeah.
sure.
Saving 80,000 gold in another world from my retirement.
I just thought that was a pretty funny title,
but it's actually quite boring.
I'm just not interested whatsoever.
Unite Up, because I don't know what it is.
It's a boy...
Okay. I figured as much
boy
from the poster,
band,
but I don't know anything else
idol.
about it, right? Because there must be something else other than just being a boy band idol group thing. Chilling in my 30s after getting fired from a Demon King's Academy. Now, did you read or watch or anything about this? No?
I was going to watch it, but then because of its low ranking, and you can say that I am being like snobby about it, I just had to cut my losses and just be like, okay, I can only cover this much.
Yeah,
and
that's not to say that we didn't watch any stuff that was ranked, like that was scored like a 5 or a 6. By the way, it's just that we did have to be a little bit picky, and so
the fruit of evolution. Before I knew it, my life had it made season 2
because I didn't watch season 1,
and it just looked like shit.
Nijion Animation, because why the hell would we watch that? Malevolent Spirits Monogatari, not Monogatari. It ain't no Monogatari. It also sucks. The Legend of Heroes, Trails of Cold Steel, Northern War. Just never got around to watching it. Boku no Ropoko. I don't know anything about that. Card Fights. I don't know why it said Card Fitty.
Get rich or die trying. Or get rich or die shuffling is what I'm saying. You know,
Card Fight, Vanguard, Will plus Dress season 2.
Oh, so you're in it.
With a dress, apparently.
Okay. I've never seen it before.
I didn't even know I was in season 1. Flaglia, Natsuyasumi, no Monogatari.
Okay. So, I need to talk about like Flaggia. So, it is kind of like, it looks like this marching band, but old guys because it's like boy band. But here's the thing, Will. What's it called? They are the flag. You know, like high school marching band, the flags.
Oh, the flag bearers, the one that do all the crazies of like.
Yeah, but what if they're a boy idol band as well?
Okay, I can vibe. I don't know if I can vibe with that. I don't
get it, right?
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
There's another Precure, magical girl show.
Hirogaru Sky Precure, KG File second season, which very much the reason why we don't talk about it is because while season 1 is out,
it's not even available.
We just never were able to access it, so we couldn't even get around to watching it. And then the last one that we're not getting into, or at least in much depth.
What a fucking title! By the way.
Sorceress, Stabber Orphan, spelled with an E, Chaos and Urban Rama.
The fuck does? Just what is that?
No, I don't know. I mean, maybe we'll take this break to discuss what the fuck Urban Rama and Orphan with an E is. Yeah. That's a lot of stuff we're not going to go over, but there's still plenty of stuff that we're going to be going over. This will be inclusive of any sequels that we've been catching up on, and also new shows. So stick around. We are back with the second half of today's episode of the Good Anime Palette Podcast. If you somehow tuned off and forgot what we were talking about, we are going in depth on the seasonals of winter 2023, the stuff that we actually watched and for the most part enjoyed. So, as usual, still me, Will, and still Jason.
Yeah, so right before the break, Will rattled off all the shows that we did not cover. We ragged on some of them, but now we are going to spend a good length of time to discuss the winter 2023 seasonals. If you're saying, hey, don't you guys are running a bit long? Well, It's the 50th episode, guys.
And also,
it's the 5th season.
You've listened to our seasonals before. Right? Our seasonal episodes tend to be quite long, so it's not an excuse. Yeah,
you know what you're getting into. But Will, I'm a bit hungry. Can you get me some fruits?
Yeah. It's actually pretty much the premise of the first episode of Vinland Saga season 2. You watched yet?
No.
Oh. So, we're going to start off this particular section by going over the sequels that have released this season. So just to be clear, those would be Vinland Saga Season 2, Bungo Stray Dogs Season 4, Inspector Season 2, and Tokyo Revengers The Christmas Showdown.
Which is kind of like Season 2, kind of.
Season 2, Part 2, whatever you want to call it.
So the thing that I wanted to mention about the sequels is we tend to focus less on the new sequels because they're sequels, so you're going to need to watch the previous ones in order to even be kind of in tune with what the show is about.
Yeah.
So,
but because of the fact that both Jason and I have either both watched it or one of us has watched everything from the beginning till now, we just want to give our 2 cents in terms of whether these are still series that are worth continuing or maybe tune off and check something else out.
So leading the charge in the winter 2023 is none other than Vikings, which is Vinland Saga Season 2. Will, what is the OP like?
So, dude, the music is fucking
Is
good.
it a rock song?
It's so good. Yes, it's a rock song.
Shit.
And this is also similar to how the transition from Attack on Titan Part 3 or Season 3 through to the final season. Rather than being done by Wit Studio, this one is now being handled and produced by MAPPA. So
a lot of Wit Studio shows have handed off to MAPPA,
which is kind of like interesting. I'm not sure if it's like a worrying thing for Wit, but then Wit's still doing some good stuff. So
like Spy X Family, for instance. So
in collaboration with Cloverworks,
right? But still, right? I think they handed it off to MAPPA, probably the golden child of anime studios right now, and they have been. I think it was a good decision.
They're spoiled for choice in terms of like the best thing they've made so far. Because Jesus Christ, like Jujutsu Kaisen, fucking Chainsaw Man, right now as well with Vinland Saga,
with an 8.88 on my anime list currently.
It was originally 8.91, but I did change it a little bit, so the rank and the popularity is a little bit different, but it shouldn't be that far off.
All right, yeah, okay. So it is the highest ranked show this season currently.
Yeah.
So why is it the highest ranked show, Will?
Because it's fucking Vinland Saga, dude. It's fucking awesome. So the whole first episode for season 2, it's just a musical masterpiece.
Did you say? Oh, as in the soundtrack, you mean,
yes,
right?
The soundtrack is so goddamn good throughout. It's usually like whenever you watch a series and it's just like loads of music throughout, it's a double-edged sword because of course you want to have good music, but you can either detract from what's on screen or it's like so
enhancement accompanying it kind of thing.
But it might clash, right? How many times have you watched like a shonen and there's like some random like rock riff that's playing in the background?
Will, I was the 2,889 signature for the Chainsaw Man to be redone because the sound is real bad.
Yeah,
the soundtrack is not impactful.
I do want to see if anybody's going to be putting a change.org petition for this one because yes, this is also MAPPA, but if you have any complaints about the music or the soundtrack for this, like, dude, the music directors and the sound designers, props to you guys. That was an amazing showcase.
So it's also on Netflix.
Yes, and the visuals still though, like I could still like see a little bit of like that weird graininess and slight like slower frame rate compared to how it was really fluid with Wit Studio.
But with Wit Studio, with season 1, I remember the 2D and the 3D was super pronounced, like real bad in terms of. I get why you did this in 3D because of money, budgetary issues, and it's not that important. It's just people walking, but it's super noticeable. Not a big problem, but
and it's also not like you're the only person who's guilty of that either. Because I will go into more depth about the 2D, 3D immersion later on. But
shit!
There's not as much 3D in this one. It's very, very vibrant, and it's also incredibly depressing. Holy shit! Like in terms
so it's Vinland Saga.
Yeah, I mean, like same shit, but different person.
2 curs, by the way.
And like I'm all for it. I'm really happy with how it's been handled so far. Granted, only 1 episode, so I can't really say much else other than keep watching.
Does it continue right where season 1 left off?
There is a slight kind of like time skip, but it's a very like minor one. But it's not like you need to really like recap everything that happened the first season, because generally, like, once you start watching this episode, it's not too hard to figure out what the fuck's going on.
So basically, same shit, different day, but in the best possible way.
It's still some good shit.
Yeah, I think that's sort of like our tagline for a lot of shows that are sequels.
Exactly. The next one, Bungo Stray Dogs Season 4, literally the same thing. Studio Bones doing really, really well. The second highest ranking seasonal for winter 2023 with an 8.56. And interestingly enough, has stayed at 8.56 for the last week or so.
So, Will, as a Bungo Stray Dogs aficionado, where does Death Apple, I think it's called, where does that fit into all this?
Oh, it's like a side story, I think, after the second season.
So it's a side quest kind of thing.
And then there's also Bungo Stray Dogs 1, which is the chibi version of it.
Yeah, but that's kind of whatever, right?
Yeah.
But Death Apple, would you consider it kind of like...
You don't have to watch Dead Apple.
Okay, so it's like a spin-off that's related.
It's an optional like side story, but, you know, like, if you love Bungo Stray Dogs, then watch it. I've only watched the main series, though, so seasons 1 through 3, and now currently watching season 4. Art style's great. It's still, I mean, it looks and feels the same. It's literally, again, more of the same, and if you loved Bungo Stray Dogs the first time round, the second time round, and the third time round, the fourth time won't disappoint.
One of these days, I'm going to get you to say same shit, different day in the best possible way, but...
No, I'm not going to verbatim that. Is it same shit, different day, though, with Inspector Season 2?
Okay, here we go. Okay, so Inspector Season 2, not Netflix, sorry. Crunchyroll original. One of the first, I think. And Season 1 didn't do so good in terms of ranking and in terms of score and just critical mass appeal. I read the manga.
To be fair, though, like over 400,000 people as members for season 1. That's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people, and I think that one of the reasons why a lot of people didn't like it was because it was too wordy. It's essentially, it seems to be this weird pseudo love story with spirits and problem solving and crimes, and it's mainly actually a detective duo that is just involved with spirits. So the jump from season 1, which has a score of 6.91, jumped all the way to a
7.78,
a 7.34. So,
the manga is 7.78.
Yeah, the manga is 7.78, but it's based off of a novel, not a light novel, a novel. So words and talking and monologues are very much the style of Inspector. And season 2, episode 1 is an anime original, which after watching it, I now understand, because it's essentially a recap kind of tied into like, oh, let's solve a very minor crime that these spirits are kind of like figuring it out, but at the same time reintroduce everyone to the story, keep catching everyone back up to current, and that's it. Very nice. Very good intro. Kind of, if you've forgot about Inspector, it's back. And I think it's just because the people that are remaining are the people that knew what they're getting into, which is lengthy speeches, not that much action, but a lot of violence as well.
So, expecting it to be a rebound, so like probably ascending its mouse score.
Reading the manga, I knew what is about to happen, and it's going to be interesting. So I think it will only increase and not decrease.
Okay. Yep. The last sequel that we're going into is Tokyo Revengers: The Christmas Showdown. This is the second part after part 1 that came out a couple of years ago. I've got a couple things I need to say about this.
Does it take place during Christmas?
Not right now. But it should culminate with that specific arc, which is the Christmas Showdown.
So it is the lead up to Christmas Showdown.
Because it takes place right after season 1, which was far from Christmas. And also because there's time travel in here too, so you got to be specific with your questions.
Oh, so there's Christmas on both sides.
Well, depending on which timeline you're in.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Yep. So it's still good, but good with an asterisk because there are two major concerns they still have with Tokyo Revengers as a whole.
Does it take place in Tokyo?
Well, yes, it does.
Is it about revenge?
Yes, but those aren't the two complaints I have.
Okay.
The first complaint is Leiden Films. Because they still haven't made something of Tokyo Revengers that looks decent. God damn, the character designs. And look, like, you can already say whatever you want about the manga and how it looks. It looks worse in the anime. And
it can't be that bad.
No, it is. It is really bad. Like, Leiden Films, I don't know, man. It's real love-hate because I know they can do some good shit, but this ain't it. Like, It's just a personal aesthetic complaint from my side. I know there are people that don't care as much as I do, but it's bothering me whenever you see like disproportional. Like we already know anime eyes and facial structures are not representative of how real life humans are supposed to look. But there's just
that'll be bad if that's the case.
I know you seen those like renditions of people like saying like, oh, if humans really looked like how they were composed in anime form.
It's like nightmare fuel.
Yeah. So that's not what I'm trying to get here. I'm not trying to say they need to be more realistic in terms of how they look. I'm just saying that like when the eyes are kind of like a little bit too far out from their heads, where
so
you
it's
can
like
see
the
eyeball.
width?
Yeah.
The distance?
It's the fact that the eyeball outline like presses further beyond the actual facial structure. So beyond the boundary of your head. I'm not trying to make a beyond the boundary reference here, by the way. It's just it just looks weird. The other complaints I have, and it's a complaint that has like carried over from part one. Granted, the first part ended on a good note, but pacing. Because I've read up to current for the manga, and based on how the first episode has gone, and also how like some of the episodes in the middle of part one went through, I'm concerned that they're going to be taking a little too much time actually getting to some of the good shit.
Why is Tokyo Revengers on Disney Plus?
Because they probably got the rights for it, but are they airing it right now on their platform, or is it in jail?
I don't know. It just says January 8th.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Disney Plus, Bleach, 1,000-Year Blood War. I mean, they also have this. Disney Plus has a lot of anime now. They're coming in for Netflix and Crunchyroll. I think that's really all I want to say about Tokyo Revengers. It's not bad. It's definitely like I will keep watching it.
Is there twists and turns? Is there like thing that I knew?
But that's like the whole point in watching any like.
Is time
series.
travel real bad? Or is it real good?
I mean, you're asking obvious questions here. Like, it's literally the premise.
Is delinquents being delinquents?
You got to stop, man. It's getting kind of tiring now.
All right, sorry.
Now, that would be like the last sequel we're going into. So, as Jason already said, we're going to be spending a long, long time going over all the stuff that we want to go over. There's a lot of new series, and for the most part, I enjoyed most of them. Some of them, on the other hand, I just need to get a couple things off my chest. So they're not necessarily like ranked in order. It's not like the first we talk about is the worst and the last one we talk about is the best. It just so happened to be how it's written in the docket. Let's start off with the Ice Guy and his cool female colleague. So this is a anime adaptation of a web manga of the same name by Miyuki Tonagaya, who did both the story and the art, and published digitally in English through Kamiki since April 25, 2022, and by Square Enix through Manga Up! Produced by Liber and Zero G. So the manga itself, the manga is a 7.65, whereas the anime currently stands with a raw score of 7.39. And you're going to notice a trend throughout this, because we already said there are a lot of series that are scored between 7 and 7.99. Now, I've watched one episode.
I watched two.
And I'm not sure how different our opinions are of this. Why don't you start? How did you feel about Ice Guy and his cool female colleague?
Do you like kudereis? Do you also like a snow demon that should be a kudere but is actually really warm inside, so kind of like a kudere? Also, do you like workplace romance? There you go. That's the premise of the show.
It's aight.
It's Yeah, I think it's fine. It's quite comfy. I quite like the opening and the ending. The theme is really good.
I think with this being like one of those like workplace slice of life romance, like bordering Yashike kind of shows, to say anything other than like, oh, it's good or it's fine, it's kind of like, oh, it's really hard to say like, oh, this is like fucking amazing, it's the greatest thing ever, because it's not set up to be like that. It's just meant to be chill, as alluded to in the title of the series.
Yeah, and there are some that are way better at being that Inuyashiki slice of life than others. Obviously, how Will and I feel about the ice guy and his cool female colleague is all right. I do think it's a decent show. The 7.39 score, I think, is very accurate of how I feel generally about it. Like, it's above average, but it's not outstanding.
The best way I would say, like, this show is something that, like, it's after work hours, you've had your dinner, and you just want to chill out. Like, this would be a show that you could watch to, like, and like kind of enjoy. It's not gonna like excite you. It's not gonna be like binge worthy, but it's a great accompaniment in terms of like late night like anime watching.
One thing I thought was quite interesting was the kind of characters, because in this kind of rom-com workspace romance, the characters are actually not only human but also have demons, because the main male character, his name is Himuro. He's a descendant of the Yuki Onna, which is basically a snow demon. And he's not the only one that is of like a mythical creature descendant, and it's just kind of this interspecies but not really hybrid kind of romance, and it's just nice. That's really it.
And the thing with this as well is that it's not like super pronounced. Like, it just exists as like a normal thing within the world of Ice Guy and his cool female colleague. They don't like really push the hard like demon fucking narrative. They don't really push that hard on the romance,
which I
kind of
like, actually.
That's why it's like, it's all right, it's fine. It works enough for people to, if they want to chill out to something, this would be it. It's not gonna get you like jumping out of your seat and like raging over like how brilliantly put together it is. No, it just works well. I think the score reflects like perfectly fine for it too. It might be a little bit higher.
A solid B. It's just a solid B.
Yeah. At the moment, it's with the 7.39. It may seem on the low side, but don't let that score like deter you from checking it out. It actually is like, I think, worth some of your time.
It can warm your heart even though it's ice cold. So, probably the next show that we're going to talk about is a show that I have been anticipating, and based off of the reception, not only from us, but just from everyone in general, I am very pleasantly surprised that the fervor is that much. I'm talking about the magical revolution of the reincarnated princess and the genius young lady, based off of the light novel of the same name by Piero Karasu, who did the story, and Yuri Kisaragi, who did the art. Has a manga adaptation of the same name, and both the light novel and manga adaptation is published in English by Yen Press, published by Dio Media. You might have heard of them from a while back.
Produced by Dio Media.
What'd I say?
Published.
Fuck. God damn it.
You're almost there. Anyways, it is ranking very, very high. The fourth best this season.
7.92. And the light novel is a 7.64. So I've read two volumes of it in the manga form.
Which is a 7.68. So it's like very, very similar to its light novel source.
And as a light novel kind of fantasy romance kind of thing, I was very, very pleasantly surprised at the adaptation being very well done. I thought that it wasn't anything like throwing money at the screen, but it was very well produced. The frame rate, the animation, the character designs, everything was accurate. And I have to say, the voice cast, imagine like Lycoris or Licorice Recoil, and you essentially have this duo, and also one is super into the other romantically, and the other one is kind of going to be into the other.
There's a lot of girl love subtext in here.
Well, straight up.
A lot of it.
I mean, have you seen the second
I watched
episode?
both episodes, yeah.
I mean, straight up, the main blonde character's like, Oh yeah, I want to marry her. I mean, that's just as obvious as it can be in terms of being a girl love. So, in this world, uh, the main female character is reincarnated. Shocker.
Yeah.
She,
I mean, literally the reincarnated lady, princess, right? Like, is it a reincarnation? Yeah, because
Yeah.
the fucking title did.
the young lady is a silver-haired genius lady, all perfect, but maybe not everything is all it appears to be. Very typical storyline. I just think that the execution, the voice cast, and just a lot of the presentation just is very accurately and smartly spent, essentially.
In terms of like a very, very general summary, the reincarnated princess is born into a family of nobles and supposed to ascend into royalty, but because of the fact that she does not have magic powers in this world, magic is tied with nobility. If you don't have magic, you do not really have the right to ascend to becoming a noble, and that's generally like how the world's rules are set, though of course rules can be broken, and that's what her journey is. She essentially carries over the magicology methods from her previous life and carries it into this world.
So there's kind of like a heater to boil your kettle water, but it uses magic stones, which is kind of like the essence, the soul of magic users that you can get from beasts and stuff and whatnot. And obviously, the genius young lady is a lady that gets outcasted due to a unjustly. So, shocker. Does it in front of an audience.
This is not Shield Hero, by the way.
Does it in front of an audience, shockingly. Gets blamed innocently, shockingly.
But rather than going off on like a murderous rampage, she gets accepted by this reincarnated princess and said, you know what, like, if y'all don't accept me, I guess I'll go with her instead. Reluctantly in the beginning, but then I think she slowly starts warming up to the reincarnated princess. And it's just that kind of like opposites attract classic story. It works really well together. I do agree. The voice acting is great. It works out so well.
The comedic beats are way better done, obviously, because it's voice acted. It's much, much more impactful than reading it off of a manga page, and just the emotions that carry behind it is just really well done. I'm just very impressed.
It's very dependent on like good comedic timing, and when you're reading it, it's because of the fact you're reading it at your own pace, it can be a bit sort of like jittery. That's not to detract it from its manga and light novel scores, but it may be a reason why the anime is rated like a whole like 0.3 above the other two.
Now, I anticipate that the score may drop just because of initial hype, but I still think...
Well, I mean, you read ahead, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, based on what you've read, do you think that if they carried on this kind of pace, at least in terms of adapting the source material, like, where do you see this? Like, do you see this maybe breaching an 8? Do you think this might be somewhere in the middle?
I think it will be somewhere in the, like, the same or lower score. I don't think it will ever reach an 8+. I'll be surprised, and I'll be happy it reaches an 8+, because of all, like...
Don't worry, there's a pigeon outside.
Oh, there's a pigeon outside. I was like, what the fuck
Yeah, there's
is
a pigeon nest right above my aircon unit.
Oh, that's quite interesting.
It's annoying.
Okay. Among all the girl love properties, this is probably the one that is the most accessible in terms of isekai, fantasy. It's not and fantasy. It's actually very little isekai. It's like only a snippet,
and not so hard on the fantasy either, where it's like you have to understand like how like certain
the magic system works. It's just like, hey, magic is something. She can't use magic, so she uses a substitute, and she's just really good at it.
And then other girl is incredible at magic, but people, for some reason, just decide to not trust her anymore, and so therefore the two come together and make the perfect pair.
Also because she is perfect in every way, except she is not perfect in every way.
Yeah.
It's typical.
Someone with zero magic ability and someone who has like way high above average, like probably the best in terms of magical ability, come together. It's the perfect duo.
I just think that one of the final lines of the second season between the two fathers of the two daughters, kind of on the balcony, is just like, if you could just have less of a foreshadowing capability, please just don't be so on the nose about where the premise is heading. We all know that, but just come on, guys. Like,
Or are you talking about like the last part of episode 2?
yeah, where they're where they're like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if this happened? And I'm just like, ugh, yeah, okay.
I mean, dude, they're like literally in the middle of the episode, like the reincarnated princess Asphilia, she just straight up like drops the bomb in terms of like what she's trying to do.
Oh yeah, I totally get that, and I think it was a very nice implementation of like a weird loophole. Nonetheless, I think it is a very good manga that I read. Didn't read the light novel, and a very, very well done anime where the premise is all right, the execution is extremely well done. That's it.
I like it. I like it a lot. Like, as far as like, okay, as much as I was ranting about like why there were so many isekais like in the previous like year of anime,
Well, we'll get into a lot of isekais.
I'm okay with this one. This one, it gets a pass. I quite like watching this one.
So, speaking of isekais, is this an isekai? It sounds like an isekai.
Bruh, Reborn, the Master of the Blade. It's not an isekai. I think it's just a reincarnation.
From hero to king to extraordinary squire. So it is based off of the light novel of the same name by Hayakin, who did the story, and Nagu, who did the art. There is a manga adaptation based off of the same name, and both the light novel and manga adaptation is published in English by J Novel Club, produced by Studio Comet.
Yeah. Now, both the light novel and the manga scores on my anime list aren't great. We're talking 6.88 and 6.68 respectively, but the anime is currently holding a raw score of 7.56, which is almost a whole point higher than both sources.
So I didn't watch this show, but Will did. And
funny enough, right? So it's like they heard, oh, like you thought there were too many isekais? Okay, fine. We'll throw down not just a lot of isekais, but we'll also throw in some more reincarnation series too.
hey, it's the genre-defining anime of the decade.
To be fair, I actually quite like this one. So, general kind of summary, it is about a, there is a hero king that's on his deathbed, and he's basically done the best he can to be able to serve and protect his empire. But all of a sudden he gets greeted by this ethereal like spirit, and is given a second chance to basically be reborn to protect another kingdom.
Okay, so is it the same world?
It is.
So it's kind of like...
That's why it's a reincarnation. That's why it's not an isekai.
That's why it's reborn. No, it's...
Reincarnation,
no,
yeah, you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
That's
it's
where
not transport, right?
Yeah.
It's not transport. I understand. We made that distinction in episode 25. So it is... Time still continues. He's just born as, like, a baby.
Yep. So he's now born into a... Not as, like, major... Definitely, like, a smaller family, but like, still of nobility. But this is where, like, the genre tags and the theme tags come in. It's also a magical sex shift. He is born as a young daughter instead.
But she wants to do knight stuff.
And that's basically the premise. It turns out that she is a lot better at everyone else in mastering the art of the blade because
he was a
she
king.
Now, yeah.
And
she had gone through like so much like battleground experience from her previous life, and it shows.
But now there is a gender discriminatory factor as well as I guess a young factor versus like a more veteran, at least grizzled by age, but not through reincarnation, basically is how it is, right? So she knows everything. It's hard for people to listen or acknowledge her.
Oh, she can also shoot lasers. Apparently she managed to also gain like magic powers.
Okay. Well, extremely important question. How does she shoot the lasers? Is it like pew 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 pew?
Out of her mouth. And she did that when she was like 6 months old.
Are you sure this is not Asobi Asobase?
It's that level of ridiculousness.
So it's comedic.
But not that level of comedy. So it's not quite Asobi Asobase, but like some of the stuff you see is just like I don't quite understand what's going on, but I'm here for it.
So what's so good about it?
But you're also right about the gender discrimination part too, because it's very clear that all the kings and all of their disciples and all the people that are like in the barracks,
all the squires,
all boys, all men. But then of course she comes in and then just wipes the slate, just destroys everyone.
No, but she needs to, have a child. She needs to raise a family. She needs to.
She is the child. She then becomes the protector of the family, but it's not like completely like set in stone yet, because in the end, it's still because she's a woman, she's a girl, and therefore it's that kind of like going against like gender normative roles, and therefore people just like kind of just look down on her. And so then she's I haven't I haven't watched that much further on, but
how many episodes?
Just the one. But
okay.
But then like it's very clear, because I'll spoil the first episode anyway, because it's not like
damn.
They start introducing a few more female characters.
Okay.
So you can imagine there that now it's like, well, if I, am going to be like disregarded as, worthy of the blade because I'm a woman.
So I'm Joan of Arc.
I'm going to then raise an army of women to also destroy shit along with me.
So I'm Joan of Arc.
Way better than that.
Way better than Joan of Arc.
Has Joan of Arc ever shot a laser out of her mouth?
Does she have Excalibur? Is she Saber?
No, but she can destroy you with a wooden sword, and I haven't seen Joan of Arc do that.
Fair enough. Joan,
no comparison with
Joan of Mega Man. Sure,
it's just for fun, shits and giggles. But I quite like this. Funny enough, it's actually like so far.
So what's so good about it?
It's just that it works.
It's just done well, right?
Some of the comedy is great. The facial expressions are done well. The animation is actually quite nice as well.
Is there a shoujo element?
No. I mean, we're not that far into like.
I mean, it's one episode into
any sort of like intimate relationships or just like character developments beyond themselves.
So you said it's not that comedic. Is it like edgy?
No, what I mean, because you're comparing it to Asobi Asabase.
Okay, I mean that's absurdist humor.
So that's what I mean.
That's fair. That's fair.
It works. I quite like it so far. So of the the two reincarnation / isekai series that we've literally just gone over, I actually vouch for both. I think you would quite like it as well. You might not like it as much as I do, but I think you would still have a good time watching.
Do you think I'll give it a 7? Like a solid 7?
No, I honestly think you would probably give it an 8. I think you would give it an 8.
Okay, all right, I'll check it out. But speaking of female representation, what happens when you grab a manga that is very rather old-ish, and you added... What's up, Will? Okay, anyways.
Why'd you stop?
Sorry. Okay. I don't know. Will's... Oh, you're turning on the aircon. Oh, that's what we needed. Okay. Tomo-Chan is a Girl is the next show that we are going to talk about. It is based off the manga of the same name by Fumita Yanagita, who did the story and the art. Whoa, it was like all these letters bunched together. Published in English as Tomo-Chan is a Girl by 7 Seas Entertainment. Completed with 8 volumes, 56 chapters. And I read all of them a while ago. I gave it an 8 out of 10. The manga source is a 7.92. The anime is a 7.53 and is produced by Studio Ledus. The story is very simple. Tomo-Chan is a tomboy. His father owns a dojo.
Her father owns a...
Fuck, what did I say?
His.
God damn it.
Dude, Tomo-Chan's a girl.
It's a tomboy. You're absolutely right. Because Tomo-Chan also likes her dude bro childhood friend, Junichiro. But Tomo-Chan is not seen as a love interest by his bro friend.
By her bro friend.
Fuck, why did I keep doing that?
Because you said tomboy, and now you've got that stuck in your head. Tomo-Chan is a girl. Literally
it's in the name of the title. Fuck me. God.
But you are literally now acting like Junichiro, because that's the whole thing. Literally,
I planned this.
Yeah,
I did this on purpose.
Dude, smooth brain, fucking like
meta
360 no scope, dude. But yeah, so Junichiro treats his friend Tomo as just literally like one of the guys. And it's also because of the fact that, acting as a tomboy, Tomo-Chan usually kind of shows off more, I guess, like, quote-unquote,
sporty,
masculine,
yeah.
like elements of her character. I mean, she's incredibly athletic and strong. She's got a really big build. She kicks anyone's ass in martial arts. And generally, like, most people are afraid of her. That's it. But at the same time, like, that's just the exterior. On the inside, Tomo-Chan has always kind of harbored this love for Junichiro, and it's literally the when will he notice me?
Yeah. So there is a total of 6 main characters in this show, and I knew this because not only of the promotion material, but also because I finished the manga. The MVP and the second, I guess, runner-up has yet to show... The second runner-up has yet to show her face, but the MVP of this show is not Tomo-Chan. It's her best friend, Gundo, which is just...
What, the coup?
It's so good. She is such a good, just... I will use my
Purple
sharp
hair as
tongue.
well.
No, it's like...
Dark purple hair.
Is it dark purple?
There's a hint of purple in there.
Oh, shit, you're right. It's like black, dark purple.
Right.
Fuck,
I wonder why
me.
I wonder why you like her. I do like her a lot too.
Her deadpanness, her silver tongue.
The deadpan comedy in this works out well. That being said, though, I'm okay with this show. I'm not gonna just straight up say it's mid, but it hasn't stoked the cockles of my heart.
I have to be honest. It gets way better when you get to the latter half of the manga, just because you have build up and the shtick of the trope of being interpreted as just being dude bro friends rather than being a love interest gets worn down over time, and that's when it starts picking back up in terms of character development.
Yeah, I mean, literally, I only just watched the first episode, so of course it's like that's why I'm saying my first impressions are. But since you've actually read the whole thing, it does get better, but
way better.
It's the same way where it's like like if you just watch the first episode of Tonari, My Little Monster, you would say the same thing. It's like there's not a whole lot going on, but you have to read and watch the whole damn thing to really get yourself into it.
The thing is that I don't think it will get to the point where it becomes really good. It's like the first half is 7, and then the second half is a 9, so then you average it out to an 8. But you won't get to the second half because out of 8 volumes, the most you can cover would probably be like 4.
Now we're going to get into something that's a little bit, I wouldn't say controversial, but a bit more divisive in terms of like our opinion of this series. Where we have to talk about Onimai, I'm Now Your Sister, which is based on the same name for the manga by Nekotufu, who did both the story and the art. Kodansha is publishing in English, and the anime is produced by Studio Bind. Before we even go into, or maybe we would just not even talk about the mouse score, plot synopsis. Hikikomori male gets gender swapped by his younger sister into a lolly.
Yeah, that's what I wrote down. Some of these plot synopsis, I just wrote like 2-3 sentences because I just thought it would be better than to read off of like the generic copy-paste.
And that is a very good plot synopsis done by Fluffy Senpai Jason.
No, but it's real. Like, that's
exactly
what I mean. What happens.
That's why I said it is a good plot synopsis because there's nothing else to go by from what the fuck this series is about.
So
it's fucking like it's a hard watch.
So I read the first volume of the manga, and to be honest, when I heard the premise, I was expecting. This is what I was expecting. Okay, I was expecting it to be obviously a gender swap, but it was one of those things where it's like, oh, it ain't that easy or that straightforward when you gender swap and do certain things like go to the bathroom or just buy bras, for example. I have not done it myself in real life. I don't think I'll ever need to. But it's one of those things where it's kind of like reading by proxy. You understand maybe the trials and tribulations and difficulties that others will feel. Okay? I read the manga, and I thought it wasn't great. I watched the first episode. I stopped within the first 5 minutes. Then I rewatched it, and
you mean you stopped when she got into the shower?
Yeah. But, yeah. Then I rewatched the whole thing, and I was like, okay, but it was okay. Just okay.
Exactly. It's not bad, but it doesn't work for us. It's not like our cup of tea because there's a lot of like real like.
Okay, first of all,
a lot of sus shit.
He is gender swapped into a middle schooler. So to my knowledge, he is, before the gender swap, is
the older brother, right?
Yeah, but it's like maybe high school, maybe university.
I think they were like maybe he's like a year or two older, but it's like the general premise is that like his younger sister is a genius, is wonderful at sports,
a scientist,
and despite being the older child, he's always looked down on because he just does not do anything that amounts to any of her success.
And also he's kind of a pervert.
Well, kind of.
Yeah,
dude, no, it is like 420-69 pervert. This guy, like, straight up is just
Naruto run kind of. I just don't like it. I really don't like.
But that being said, it could work for some, but not for us.
I just think that there is so much more you can do with that premise. To be honest, like if you were to take it in a more, it doesn't have to be super serious, but like in a half lighthearted, half serious tone. I thought.
Like the exploration of like the opposite gender, right? Rather than just straight up saying like, "Oh, look at all the things I can do as a female now," and then literally doing the things that are like so stereotypical that's why I kind of turned us off from watching it.
Right. Like this is not sort of about the extraordinary Squire isekai that Will mentioned earlier about rising through the trials and tribulations of being a woman and discriminatory. This is a bit more like the day-to-day life. Like how different is it to take a shower as a dude versus how to take a shower as a female. Obviously, they go into that a little bit, and I thought that would be kind of like the premise, like this compare and contrast thing, and then appreciate the other side, the other gender on the spectrum, whatnot, right? And it is just not that. That's it. And I don't like it that much. It could be what you like. I have nothing that faults you against it. I just thought it is wasted premise.
It's not like a hard disapproval, but neither of us are going to be finishing this.
I'm not sad. I'm just disappointed.
Well, no, that's actually like that's really bad. I think this is just straight up like this is the middle child. Like we just don't pay that much attention to them.
I don't know. I just thought that there could have been a lot more directions that they could have gone, and they just don't go anywhere with it.
Look, maybe maybe that was their point. They just wanted to keep this as slapstick and face value as possible. But like at that point for us, like we want more. Therefore, that this is not where we're going to be entertained by. So like, if it works for you, it works for you. We're not gonna straight up say don't watch it. Watch it and see if this is something that works for you. It's like in that mid range of you should check it out, but we won't fault you for just straight up skipping this.
Maybe the later episodes will be better. I don't know.
We're not gonna find out.
I'm not gonna find out.
If you do enjoy it, though, of course, if you finish this and enjoy it, let us know.
Yeah, let us know.
Maybe we'll be convinced.
And if you make a good argument, we will be convinced. Period.
Now, Sugar Apple Fairy Tale. Have you watched this one?
Yeah, I have. First episode.
Yep. So based on the light novel of the same name by Aki, did the art. Miri Mikawa did the story. There is a manga adaptation for it. So both adaptations, light novel and manga, are published in English by Yen Press. The series is produced by good old JC Staff.
Oh, JC Staff of One Punch Man Season 2 fame?
The greatest in terms of... No, not the greatest at all in terms of action.
Scientific Railgun.
Yeah, you say that all the time. It's the only crutch you have.
No, because that's the only one that they've got.
Yeah. So it goes without saying, action's not necessarily their shtick. But shoujo, love, romance, drama, and occasionally comedy. It usually is, like, if you're attaching that to JC Staff, you could expect decent to very good expectations.
So imagine in a world where fairies, like these little pixie fairies like Tinkerbell, and humans live in the same world, except fairies are discriminated against because they're small.
Straight up.
But the young female character is this wide-eyed, maybe naive female who wants to bake confectionery. There is a competition that she wants to win. For what reason? It's kind of related to her mom's occupation. And she also wants to prove herself. She has to travel kind of like Spice and Wolf travel. And because it's dangerous to travel alone, she basically enlists
a warrior fairy. She hires...
Enslaves is essentially the word.
Yeah.
But the whole point is that the confectionery that she specializes in is all about relating to fairies and how she wants like this ideal world where everyone can just get along.
But she's always got that real like that sort of like righteous, like virtuous dilemma. It's like, I could totally set these fairies free, but then who's going to protect me along my journey? Whereas the ones that like I quote unquote enslave are also going to be the ones that protect me. So it's a very like standard kind of like moral dilemma that you see in a lot of like fantasy based series.
Oh yeah, and the warrior fairy is a very suave,
Very
pretty
hot,
boy,
hot dude, straight up hot dude.
like black hair, called Crow, which is just like, God, can you be any more like on the
point,
nose about it?
So I kind of like this, and the reason why I kind of like this is because I also kind of liked another shoujo series, a very well-renowned one, Yona of the Dawn, which kind of has a similar premise. You know, young girl goes through like a personal tragedy of serious magnitude and has to traverse through life, but still holds on to that young naivete where she like wants things to be perfect and like everything lives in harmony, but at the same time it's juxtaposed with the harsh realities that life fucking sucks.
So one of the things that I really like about this show is that despite it being produced by JC Staff, which already doesn't have a very good pedigree because they kind of put a lot of money in certain shows and a lot of less money in other shows.
That's harsh, man. JC Staff is fine. It's just that the stuff you like, they do really, really bad with. But they
minus like a couple.
They have a good track record, but it is blemished by some duds.
Some of their duds are big hitters, though. But to be fair,
that's why it's like I understand your disdain for not disdain. I see your gripes with it.
I put my expectations in line with JC Staff. Again, it's not that I hate JC Staff. It's just that I am unsure when someone gets tagged made by JC Staff, produced by JC Staff. I don't know if I'm getting Railgun or I don't know if I'm getting One Punch Man Season 2.
Yeah. Whenever you see JC Staff, it's like, if it does well, it's like, oh, finally, good. They didn't fuck it up. Or, fuck, they fucked it up.
I have to say, though, the visuals for this show, the animation I'm impressed.
It's good.
I think it's just very good, very solid. The color palette used to the fairies and the very vibrant, almost apple colors that's associated with the female character is very nice. I also think that the female main character is just kind of funny and just very real.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I need to enlist help because I can't be on my own. I don't want this fairy to hate me, but I also need the warrior fairy, just as you said, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just basically like looking through the lens of like the perfect world, which does not exist.
And she leaves her hometown in the very beginning of episode 1, and essentially she didn't need to, but she chose to. And there was an out for her in many ways, but she was like, I'm not going to take that because that is not who I want to be.
Yeah, it's that youthful determination, but also living up to what she perceives as the expectations of her mother.
So I really think that this show is promising for sure. But whether or not it becomes promising is another thing entirely.
So in terms of like the overall like viewer experience, you will love the visuals. The music blends in quite nicely. The plot, it's again,
super simple.
It just depends if it vibes with you. If you want to see like a shoujo, like I'm not sure if there's much of a harem going on in there, or like where she just collects like a band of merry men, because that's kind of what happens in Yona of the Dawn, but there's no romance subtext in there. But like, if that kind of thing works for you, then great.
Clearly, the warrior fairy and her are gonna bone, though.
Oh, I don't know about that.
No, maybe like towards the end. I don't even know.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see.
But I will continue watching this with like optimism, and hopefully it will, be one that I think will be very good, and I think is a decent recommend.
Yeah, steady expectations. Like, don't expect to be like this to blow your mind, but it would be like a very enjoyable like late night watch again.
So comes probably one of the shows that I have
personal
conflicts about. I'm going to talk about Spy Classroom, also known as Spy Room, based on the light novel of the same name by Tomari, who did the art, and Takemachi, who did the story. Apparently, here's the part that bewilders me is that the light novel placed second in the Kono Light Novel ga Sugoi ranking in 2021 in the light novel category. The manga adaptation, there is one. Both the light novel and the manga is published in English by Yen Press, produced by Studio Feel.
Now, the light novel source is pretty high, 7.75 in terms of its raw score. The manga, on the other hand, is a 6.86, and not that much different, 6.87 currently for the anime adaptation. Now, this is produced by Studio Feel. Based on how it looks, it's
Here's my plot synopsis. I'm going to just quote from the first couple of lines from episode 1. The first couple lines. Ready? Verbatim. The world is awash in pain. The Great War was the biggest war in human history.
So huge.
And it left the world's nations with deep scars. Its conclusion brought about a radical change in world affairs. Okay. It is about a group of young girls.
Spy girls.
And a very dumb, but actually, in terms of dumb being a teacher, but is actually very proficient spy. And they essentially have to execute this Cold War Mission Impossible plan within a certain period of time, while also training all these young spy cadets who are also females and also all rejects because they're all washed out.
Now, maybe this is just me being unfairly critical, but you know when they were doing that first lesson where they were picking locks?
Yeah.
I stopped after that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know. This is one of the shows where it's not as bad as the stuff we talked about before the break, where I just straight up said it was boring. It just didn't spark any joy for me watching this.
It's not a Marie Kondo kind of show.
No, it just didn't work for me. And maybe it's just me being unfair and not watching more than just the first 15 minutes of it. But by that time, when if it was already a drop for me, and there was really not much else I can say, so I feel like my opinion is not indicative of how this show will work for you. But if you are in the group that feels that this is a show that you just did not enjoy, then I feel for you. I don't know. You said you've got personal conflicts with this show or the series as a whole.
I think the premise of collecting a myriad group of rejects and within a short span of time making them proficient in doing this job that is almost borderline Suicide Squad equivalent, and also teaching, this teacher is kind of this emotionless genius that just somehow is able to execute on this shit but cannot teach girls, is kind of this weird mishmash of deficient people trying to achieve something great. And I just think that the show is mid.
It's not good. I can't watch it.
And the pacing is not great.
Should I move on from this then? Or do you have any final thoughts before you want to move on?
I hope I am wrong, but I don't think I will be.
At the moment with its current score, granted, it's only just the beginning, but it doesn't really stoke confidence, right?
Oh, yeah. All right.
Now, complete 180, and we're going to talk about some stuff that...
Did you just chuckle because you read the plot synopsis that I wrote?
I fucking love it.
Okay.
We're talking about Buddy Daddies. Again, another banger of an original by PA Works.
Guess how we feel about it, based after Will's comment
it's
just
so
now.
Fucking good.
There is no anime source because it's an anime original by PA Works. Did you know that they're called progressive artists? Works?
Is that what PA stands for?
I did not know that.
I never even bothered to check.
In the title sequence, underneath PA Works, on the little side corner, it says progressive artist or art or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. So first off, the raw score doesn't matter here because we're still going to vouch for it anyway.
7.69, but yes, we're still going to vouch for it.
So, very aptly written by Jason. It is the childhood story of Ochako Uraraka, or Zero Gravity Girl from My Hero Academia. No, it's not actually her, but there is a very uncanny resemblance between the two. So the focus of this story is two young men working as hitmen. Though one is more like a con artist, kind of like gang aficionado, and the other one is an actual hitman, like a stone fucking cold killer.
Like one is a swindler and the other one is a cold hard killer.
Introvert and extrovert pairing.
Yeah. So, hey, what happens when you mix a child into this kind of like mixture? You get shenanigans.
Straight up shenanigans. Now, when I was like looking through the Mal discussion boards, there were a considerable amount of people saying this is Spy X Family but better. Now, I'm not going to go that far. I appreciate that line of thinking, but don't put the two together. They're very different. Yes, it is two pseudo parents looking over a pseudo child of the family, but there's no comparison. You can't compare the young girl from Buddy Daddies to Anya Forger. There's absolutely no comparison whatsoever.
But she is very cute,
very adorable. We're not shitting on it and for people that compare it to Spy X Family. Rather, I can see why they're making that connection, because it's just two partners of crime being put in a situation where they have to raise a child because they just ran into a situation that is wacky and full of shenanigans.
I mean, it just so happens that the very first opening scene is the two guys executing this plan, and then right at the last minute, almost picture movie stereotypical perfect, a call comes and it's like, yo, your daughter got sick. And they're like, fuck. And then they have to figure shit out. Meanwhile, this criminal thing is like, what do you guys do? Shut the fuck up. I told you. And then they shoot him.
Yeah.
And then bicker like couples. Except I don't think they're into each other whatsoever.
No.
They just live together as roommates.
There's a lot of people that are saying there's some yaoi undertones.
But I don't think it's there whatsoever.
It's not there. You're reaching if you think that way.
But it is like two babysitters with a child that is just always there, that is super cutesy. But I really like the execution of the show. The
first 10 minutes were fantastic.
The tone and everything is just really nice. As an original work, I think it's okay, the premise, but I think the execution, the storyline and everything is just very nice.
It's just continuing a trend of good original works that are coming from PA Works.
Yeah, and
with Your Boy Kong Ming, Akira
Your Boy Kong Ming is a manga.
No, it was. Okay, but still. In terms of stuff that came out from PA Works.
on the White Sand, I think. What was the animation one?
Oh, that one. Shit. What is it Second Chance something? I forgot what it was called.
No, it has a movie. I can't remember.
Shirobako.
Yeah, Shirobako. Aquatope on the White Sand.
Aquatope. But they got a very, very consistent track record.
It also looks really nice too. It's
rock solid. I liked it a lot. I think it's not much else that needs to be said. If you just action comedy hijinks, this is it.
It's a very stereotypical Hollywood kind of premise.
Buddy comedy, yeah.
Buddy comedy, but it's done very well. I'm not expecting it to be a 9 out of 10, but it's going to be a rock solid fun time, 8 out of 10, questions
I'll
asked.
Be very surprised if it doesn't at least rank as a 8 out of 10 for me by the end of the season.
I just find it really weird how the kid was able to find the two guys.
Yeah, that was, to be fair, that part I did feel was a bit forced. But in most buddy comedies,
fine, I'll deal with it because that's just a plot hole. Fine, I'll fill it with love from Needy.
And if you're going to pick that apart and really dissect it, then you're looking too far down the wrong hole here. That's not what the point of focus is. So just enjoy it for what it is. So we go from a series that looks really good to a show that actually made me feel really, really fucking good.
Shit.
Yeah, we're going into Handyman Saitou in another world. Funny enough, another fucking isekai that I thought I would fucking hate. but I actually really, really, really like. So it's based on the manga, so 4-panel manga of the same name by Katsutomo Ichitomo, who did both the story and the art. The manga source is not rated very high, 6.75, but the anime score is like a full 0.5 higher.
And to our knowledge, there is no English release for it.
Yeah, so it's only like it's syndicated and published in Japanese. So that may be the reason why that we don't really see much like fanfare for the manga.
But we have an anime, and Will.
I really like Saitou. And I think like maybe it's just how the manga like paced the comedy itself, because again, comedy is like it's definitely something you need to master in terms of like its timing, especially when it comes to like it's written in drawn form. And I feel like it could be a little bit easier to execute in terms of an animated form, which might explain why it's ranked so much higher in anime form compared to the manga. Have you watched it?
No, I have not.
Okay,
I chose to watch Farming Life in Another World instead,
which I also watched too. But I got good things to say for both of them.
So is it sentimental?
It's not so much that it's sentimental, but like the general premise is
wholesome?
That it's very wholesome.
Okay.
So Saitou basically worked as a handyman in his previous life. So anything from garbage collecting to like electronic maintenance to like lock picking.
How did he die?
Illness.
Oh shit!
I think if I remember, because dude, there were so many isekais and reincarnations this season. I forgot. I think like the opening scene is of him on the deathbed.
No, that's Farming Life in Another World.
There you go. Then I don't remember how he died in this one. But the general thing here is that it's a lot of like flashbacks to his previous life.
Like this is how I repaired this, and then now back in reality or
exactly.
new reality, right?
So like there's a part where like literally it's like the first 10 seconds of him picking the lock of a door to enter like a dungeon, and it then is juxtaposed by his previous life where he was picking the lock of a door to open up like someone who locked themselves out.
Also a dungeon, apparently.
Yeah, but in the in the previous life where the person was like, "Oh, thank you for opening this door. Okay, that'll be X amount of yen." What the fuck? You only did like 30 seconds of work. Why do I have to pay so much? It's like, yeah, but this was the agreed upon rate that you signed for. It's like, no. I don't agree. Like I expected this much work. You gotta give me a discount. And it then flashes forward to his current life where he opens and he is met with treasures and love and adoration from his teammates.
So basically, it is workers' comp. It's workers' comp.
It's so feel good because it just makes you like look back and it's like, if you ever felt unappreciated, you ever felt that like you've been wronged, or just people just look down at you for all the small things that you did do right or did do wrong, there's always someone out there that will look at you and praise you and give you the right just rewards.
Maybe I should watch it, because the last line of the plot synopsis is he starts to really understand what it means to be needed. And that's just like a nice line to kind of end your plot synopsis. And if that's just the overall motif and theme of the show, I can kind of get behind that.
Yeah, no, I fully enjoyed watching this. And again, 7.27 is not like an amazing score, far from it, but that's why I don't want to focus too much on the score. I feel that it's just really, really, really fun.
Okay.
Yeah. And you're asking as well, it's like, does he feel useful? Does he feel handy? And
I did not say any of that.
You actually did in the text. You actually did.
Oh, okay. On a WhatsApp, not on the docket. But I was trolling you.
But all I'll say is he feels fulfilled.
Whoa, dude, you get all philosophical on me.
It's a very, very feel good show. I really like it.
Will, you must have played Harvest Moon or Stardew Valley, right?
Dude, Stardew Valley is like, oh my god.
So
I wasted so much time growing turnips.
Wait. Did you say wasted? You mean...
Because I kept on fucking up the weather patterns, man. I drowned all my turnips.
Well, this farmer, which is about his farming life in another world, is based on the light novel of the same name by Yasumo, who did the art, and Konosuke Nato, who did the story. The light novel does not have an English adaptation, I think, But there is a manga adaptation published in English by One Piece Books, who also published Rising of the Shield Hero, the manga. Produced by Zero G, 7.29 for the anime, and I guess it has the rating of the devil for the manga adaptation, 6.66. All you need to know is, do you like farming? Like Stardew Valley or Harvest Moon? Do you also like the fact that in the opening credits, there is like this montage of the whole cast of characters? I counted. There was 18 characters. If you exclude the main character, that's 17. If you exclude the butler, who is the male butler in like the corner, that is 16. They're all females.
Oh, yeah. Did we mention this is a harem?
Oh, yeah, it's a harem. I forgot to tell you that. So there it is.
Now, imagine, like, of course, like with any... I can't believe, again, it's another fucking isekai. God
okay,
damn.
so in the anime, they use the word magical hoe, and it is uttered in a literal and serious sense, and I have never heard of it used as its literal sense. So fine.
Yeah.
This guy can basically morph his, like, summon any sort of farming tool or apparatus and use it at, like, its highest potential, where he doesn't even get fatigued. He can just cut through anything or dig through anything whatsoever.
You can really use a magical hoe.
Bro, this guy...
That is actually an amazing hoe, by the way.
It is. It is. Like, he just turns the soil over, like, and it's, like, all freshly... What do you call it when you... I don't know. Hoe the ground.
Yeah. In our very unserious way of talking about a serious magical hoe.
Sorry. Oh my god, look at that.
I'll fix that. Don't worry.
Shit. Okay.
But it's again another one of those wholesome premises, right? Like when you watch like any isekai, for the most part, it's like you're given a second chance at life, and you've got all your experiences from your previous life. What else do you want? Oh, I want great strength. I want to be the best sorcerer in the world. This motherfucker just said, I just want to be healthy and like run a farm.
It's just funny how the very beginning, when he passes away, the
god
is I done goofed. You shouldn't have died that badly and treated like shit. So it was all happening to you when it should have been, I guess, spread out or calculated elsewhere. My bad. So I'm going to reincarnate you. You are going to be, like, full of health and vitality. What do you want to do? And he's like,
you can be anything you want. Like, we done fucked up. Like, here's your, we'll pay you back. Like, you can be, like, the greatest warrior. You can be an archer. You can be a magician.
I just want to farm, because that's all the TV shows that I watched in my...
Excuse me?
No.
You want to farm?
Well, yeah. I mean, I saw all these TV shows while, I was having IV in me and I'm dying out of illness. And those were only TV shows that I watched. And I kind of just want to do it.
Shit. This is not under my area of expertise.
So I will call up
I know a guy.
I will call up the god of agriculture. Okay. He's okay with it.
The god of the harvest.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay. And then he just proceeds to spend the next... like section of the episode literally constructing his farm. I will tell you this. I quite like the show mainly because of one reason. Because they show you the schematics of the farm and how he builds it up, at least over the first episode. So if that continues, I just like seeing, just like the Harvest Moon or Stardew Valley.
Dry. It's super dry.
But it's just nice seeing like this growth and development literally.
It's like Realist Hero rebuilt the kingdom. Right? You don't want to know about like the financials of a fucking kingdom, but I do, right? Like I don't care about how you don't care about how like a farm is like organized and like how you're supposed to analyze rain patterns and know how to like dig for water, but I do, like Jason does. Like it fucking works. It's good. And I also love the fact that like it's literally one of the drummer tags or the theme tags is harem, but they're not called like lovers. They're called, there's a new villager in town. They just keep it so wholesome, even though you know damn well what's going on.
Join the family, Will. The family, we keep growing and harvesting, but we don't harvest just crops, Will. Okay.
We don't just, sow just regular agricultural seed.
Oh,
Anyways.
Okay. The first show that Will and I are probably going to go at each other is this next show called Trigun Stampede.
Wait, what do you mean go at each other? Do you think we have different opinions on it?
Based off of the manga Trigun by Yasuhiro Naito, who did the story and the art, originally published in English by Dark Horse Comics. This is a reimagining of the anime series Trigun by Studio Madhouse in spring 2008, one of the first mature animes that I watched ever. This remake is produced by one of my favorite studios who does 3D, Studio Orange, well known for Land Illustrious and Beastars. A score of 7.39.
Which is a far cry from its original score from the original edition of 8.21 back in 1998. I want to hear your thoughts first, because you were like thinking that we're going to go at each other, and I'm not too sure if we will, but I'm keen to hear your initial impression of Studio Orange's rendition of Trigun - Stampede or : Stampede or whatever it is. Okay, before I even go into that, did you like Trigun, the original?
It was all right.
It was okay.
It was overshadowed by Cowboy Bebop that when I watched it like back to back. So it was kind of tough to go against Cowboy Bebop. I forgot which one I watched first. I think Trigun I watched first because it was one of the shows that I retroactively went back. I was like, it's not that great.
I thought it was just okay. Like, you could see like the comedic beats, the action sequences are good, but like if you're always going to compare it to Bebop, then of course Trigun loses out. But that's not to say that people wouldn't enjoy. I mean, like it was a classic of the West as well, right? Like people in the
like
US
Mad
kind of loved
Max.
it. Yeah. It is good. I mean, otherwise we wouldn't be talking about it.
It was one of those things where it's known to me as the English dub. And the VA, Johnny Young Bosch, is reprising his role as Vash for this Studio Orange remake. And he was the original voice in the old anime by Studio Madhouse. Yep. So that's really cool, honestly.
So what about Stampede then?
It's like Mad Max Fallout. Everyone needs water. Okay, I get it. Desert, wanted criminal, but it's not really...
It's not that far off from the original like edition.
I mean, the old geezer is Roberto De Niro.
De Niro. Instead of what was her name?
The
again?
Tall girl,
Millie,
and then Meryl Streep. I'm sorry, I forgot. It's a riff off of Meryl Streep's name, but she is, instead of the insurance salesman, is now a young news reporter. Okay,
which actually in the original like anime, they actually do become reporters at the end.
Yeah. Let me start with the good. The 3D is pretty good. It's not great, but it is better than I thought. And being 3D, the action scenes are very dynamic in terms of like the angle, the shots, and it looks real nice. I thought a lot of it was not great. I think the music is really loud. It is not very... Actually, I thought the opening and the ending was nice, very nice. And I thought there was a lot to like about it, but there was a lot that I don't like about it, and more negative than the positive. I really don't know sort of what else to say. I'm just trying to like construct my thoughts. And all I had to say at the back of my mind, which is really biased because I was like, just make Land Illustrious Season 2.
Now, are you basing like your thoughts of Stampede from your experience of watching Trigun, or is this like a clean slate? You're just watching it as is.
Well, I haven't
no
seen
comparisons.
I haven't seen it in so long, so it's kind of like bits and pieces of what I remember. But I didn't like rewatch Trigun in order to remember how I felt about it back then.
You're just watching it like from scratch.
And I thought the animation was very cartoon Looney Tunes-esque. And it really bothered me.
Do you hear my take?
Yeah.
I liked it.
Okay.
I actually am of the opposite of what you said, where I thought that the music was actually very good, and I thought that it fit in quite well with the chaos that happened in the first and also the second episode. I thought the voice acting was kind of
What do you think the new look of Vash?
I thought it was cool. I enjoyed it.
I like the new look comparatively to how more, I guess, Dragon Ball Z like he's supposed to look with like the square head kind. I don't know.
I actually think that the cartoon look fits in well with that kind of Mad Max like Western style appeal. And I thought the animation was quite fluid.
I thought the choreography was really well done of the fights.
Bruh, dude, like, did you see the bullet storm? That bullet storm segment was fucking
in the very
beautiful.
beginning.
At the very end of episode one.
Yeah, I thought
that was gorgeous.
I think it is very well directed. That's what I would say. I don't think.
Yeah, I think this is where my thoughts start to coincide a bit with what your thoughts are, because if I was to just watch it based on how I felt about Trigun, I didn't really care too much about Trigun, the original, anyway. So that's kind of carried over to how I feel about Stampede. But if I was to watch it completely fresh, like it's kind of like the Disney thing where they just, re-update old properties with new shit. But instead of it being like 2D animation, it is live action for Disney. And in this case, instead of just being 2D anime from the 90s, it is now like 25 years later, re-uploaded, like rescaled to like 4K, 3D, whatever. If you come from the old school Trigun camp, you will be disappointed because of the fact that there's a lot of like major character changes. But at the same time, I also feel like this rendition is not for those people either. Unless you really, really love Trigun,
or you're old enough to watch the old one and the new one.
And you want to maybe show your kids why you love Trigun in the first place.
The thing is that I think each individual part by itself in isolation is actually really well done.
Yeah.
I think the direction is the only thing that I will say is universally well done, whether it's on its own or integrated in. I actually think the music is very appropriate, and actually very well, like with the horns and like that Western style.
It is good.
There's like the whip sound effects. It's like very spaghetti Western kind of vibe. I love it.
Yeah.
But when it's reintegrated back into everything else, I don't like it. When you mix in kind of like Vash's new look on its own, it's great. I just don't know. I just feel like the choreography is really good, but when you kind of put it in with everything else, it is still a plus, but it's just kind of loses out to how I just don't feel good about everything else. I just felt that it's more comedic and more wacky, which I don't like, to be honest.
But that was also original Trigun too.
To a certain extent, yeah.
Because it was like it was very Looney Tunes-esque, in the 1998 edition of it. I think maybe because of the fact that it is a little bit more like in your face with its character and like art aesthetics, that maybe that's why for you it puts you off more than it would have from the original.
I thought like the one-shot takes. Obviously, it's not a one-shot take, but it's like this. It goes through like underneath and around and spins around the camera angle all in a fluid motion, just like how in Land of Illustrious. It's just very well choreographed. A lot of the fight scenes and action scenes are legitimately impossible to do in 2D completely, at least completely in 2D, unless if you spend a shit ton of money and it'll look really weird. So this is why 3D in this case works in the way it looks very dynamic and kinetic.
Like nothing can be taken away from like the Orange perspective. They did like a really good job in animating this. I think they
definitely did.
It looks amazing. But I think what holds it back is the same way that I felt about the original Trigun story of it just not enough for me to continue watching it. It's basically one of those it's a great series for highlight reels.
Every time Vash takes out his gun, it is awesome.
Right? Like
he takes out his gun, I think, once in the each episode that I've watched.
And it's amazing. But outside of that, it's like there's not a lot of memorable shit.
The end credits, I like it. For some reason, like that just whole end credits sequence just looks really nice.
Did you watch episode 2?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, same thing. That's like 10 seconds where he pulls his gun out. Amazing. Everything else is forgettable.
I thought the opening sequence was also very good with like the kind of zoom in with the gun and it just looks nice. It's really well directed, as I said, really well choreographed. Just I don't know what it is about it. I just can't get behind Trigun Stampede.
The positives are perfectly balanced by the negatives to make it so it's not mid. Again, like we want to refrain from just calling everything mid when we don't vibe with it. It's just if you loved Trigun and you want to see like a fresh take on it, you may or may not be disappointed. But I think you should still give it a try. For people who have never watched anything or read anything about the original Trigun and just want to watch something cool, this could give you like real good action appeal. But the story is what holds it back for me. It's a very, very like slight nudge towards the recommend, but again, will not fault you for dropping it.
All right. Our next show is we're gonna go overtime on this, Will.
It won't be 3 hours though.
It definitely will be. I think.
I don't think so. Well, it just depends on how much time you want to spend on talking about this one, which is the Angel Next Door Spoils Me Rotten.
Hey, Will, do you like Horimiya?
No.
Well, guess what? This ain't it because it is actually based off of the light novel of the same name, The Angel Next Door Spoils Me Rotten, by Hanzano Kazutake, who did the art, and Hanekoto, who did the art again. I guess like they co-drew it together. And Saiki-san, who did the story. Light novel is published in English by Yen Press. And the manga adaptation is published digitally by Square Enix on Manga Up. Has a crazy high score, the anime, 7.82. Light novel is even crazier, who has 8.49. Plot synopsis is essentially Sheena is a perfect girl on the exterior, to the point where everyone adores her and calls her angelic. She lives next door to Fujimiya, I think.
Yeah, or whatever his name is. He's forgettable because people don't really know who he is, and he just feels kind of like out in the bleachers. No one really cares or knows about him.
And guess what? The angel has flaws and scars mentally, or just troubled stuff.
It's the perfect series for Project Number 9 to pick up. That's the main complaint I have about it, really, because for me, it looks shit.
I thought it looked okay. Just okay. I think it looked fine for what it is. It's a bit shiny glossy, which is kind of a weird look, but sure, no problem. The thing that I have is if you like an One-san caretaker mom, I mean, at one point, the male main character is like, oh, thank you, mom. And when I heard that line, I was just like, that was the realest thing that was said during that entire episode that I watched.
I just think that this whole, like, down on his luck dude or girl meeting up, like, the perfect counterpart is, like, a really played out, like, overplayed trope.
And then they propped each other up. I'm not saying that you can't have overused tropes as like your crutch in the beginning.
It's like if you talk about isekai tropes, they're all the same. If you talk about action shonen, it's all the same.
Oh, gender discrimination is a very common theme. Oh, tomboy is not getting love reciprocated or misunderstood.
Nobody's like reinventing the wheel here, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just a very boring trope for me, and I'm dropping it.
Maybe there is something there that like the light novel people knows about. I don't understand how 2 episodes in it could be a 7.82 when.
Well, I mean, I feel the same way about Bungo Stray Dogs and how it's an 8.56. I like it, but it should not be that high.
Regardless, I was just like, I would watch almost all other shows that we have talked about.
If this was a 7.32 or 7.42, I'd say, yeah, that's about right. If it's a 7.82, damn, there are people who are seeing this in a way better light than I am.
Or maybe they just want wish fulfillment, which is fine. It's
exactly.
I just feel like this is so stereotypical. It's just not worth your time. Because if you want something more romantic, watch Horimiya. If you want to be taken care of, there's plenty of like Inuyashiki animes, slice of life shows that will give you that wholesomeness rather than the cardboard cutout and executed very mid. Really, it is such a middle of the road show that I just cannot recommend this.
7.82 is way too fucking high.
How is that possible? But sure. Guess what? It probably got hype from the light novel people.
Right. Moving on to Endo and Kobayashi Live, the latest on Tsundere Villainous Lisalate.
You know, I got really mad that I had a choice between The Angel Next Door Spoils Me Rotten and this show, the villainous one, Tsundere, which is Tsundelise.
Tsundelise, yeah.
And I fucking chose The Angel Spoils Me Rotten. So I will report in a future episode because I'm going to watch Tsundelise and Will is going to convince me why this show should be watched by you as well.
It's so cute. It's so good. It's just basically two students that are part of the same club in high school, Endo and Kobayashi. One likes the other one, it's to be seen. But as part of their club, they're supposed to be doing regular club activities, which they haven't really done. So instead, they decide, you know what? Why don't we do
here? Let me take out my handheld console, or is it like
no? They actually play on the
video game console.
They actually play on a PS5. Or whatever
equivalent
version, yeah,
okay.
And they decide to play an Otome game
because that's what you do, right?
Yeah. So, but what they do, which is actually really cool, is because I forgot what their club is, but you're supposed to be doing sort of like reporting or like a lot of like verbal, like just commentary stuff. And so the guy's like, "Why are we playing this game? Like, this is not like a proper use of club time." And then the girl says, "Oh, since we need to prepare for an upcoming commentary, why don't you provide like the color commentary of this Otome game, and I'll do the analytical commentary of this Otome game."
Meanwhile, inside the Otome game, which, funny enough, the villainess, she could hear them.
No.
She's not? She can't?
It's the man.
Oh, the dude.
Yeah, the dude.
So what does he do?
So you play as a character, as in like you are the first person character,
right?
Right.
This is meta. This is extremely meta.
Yeah.
Not the Facebook meta.
Because PS5s or their equivalent, their controllers have a speaker on them, and so when you speak, the game also hears the real life players talking to them. But in the game, the guy's like, "Where are these voices coming from? Are the gods speaking to me?" Because it's a magic school and shit, right? And then of course the commentators, as they're called, is like, "Oh yes, that is the perfect title given to you, deities. I really appreciate you giving me guidance upon my quest. What shall I do?"
So he can't hear them, right? No, he can't talk to them, right?
He can.
So they can cross-communicate.
It's the same way where you're playing like a visual novel and like you as the character interact with the in-game NPCs. That's the talking to them.
So the players can talk to the characters.
Yes. But rather than having like fixed dialogue as how games go, you actually have open dialogue and say whatever the fuck you want.
So where does the tsundere villainess come in?
That's the tsundere villainess. You have to be able to win her heart over because she loves the prince, but the prince is just a dunce, like is completely.
So who's the main character in the game?
The prince. But the villainess is like the reason why she's like the true tsundere villainess is because she falls out of love. She feels like, you know, no matter what she does, the senpai will never notice her. And so then she falls into a deep, dark depression, gets taken over by a devil, transforms into a monster, and kills everyone.
So hearing the players playing IRL, tries to prevent the calamity in his present world, which is the game played by the players.
But at the same time, they can't just straight up say, "You need to fall in love with her," because that would just break the meta of the game, and then the game would just break. Because they can't be so obvious to the prince. It's like, if you don't love her, she's going to kill everybody. Because they actually say, "Oh, dude, spoilers.
You're going to die?"
Yeah.
bro.
So that's why no. Us in like the players talking to themselves. No, we can't spoil the game for them, dude. It's like, oh, okay. We gotta think about how to convince this guy to fall in love with her without actually saying to fall in love with her.
Why the fuck did I watch The Angel Next Door
It's
instead
so
of fucking this?
It's so good.
This sounds so good.
And the thing as well, it's
I'm
like
so mad.
For me, like the reason why I thought you didn't watch it was because of the word tsundere in there. That's literally it. But then even the best, I'm not even gonna say any more. I'm just waiting for you to like watch that specific part, and then you can report back to me. But look, from me to you, Jason, and from me to the listeners, please. Endo and Kobayashi Live, the latest on tsundere villainous Lisalete. Fucking good. Really, really good. Please go check that out.
All right.
Now, this one was like
the biggest what the fuck of the season.
Massive surprise.
What the fuck am I watching on the Screen Award of Winter 2023 goes to High Card, based off of the multimedia project created by Homura Kawamoto, Hikaru means light, sorry, Muno, and TMS Entertainment. Himura Kawamoto is the writer for Kagurui Compulsive Gambler. He did not write the script.
But he was there as part of like the conceptualization and putting everything
He's
together.
like the co-creator. So he didn't write the script. A bunch of other people wrote the script. But Ryo Takahashi is the music composer. The reason why I mentioned that is because the music is spot on in this show.
Yeah.
Classroom of the Elite, Healer Girl, Ari Fureta, and Skate the Infinity. Regardless of how I feel and Will feels about Skate the Infinity, one thing is rock solid is this guy's resume is on point. It is produced by Studio Hibari, who also produced Assassination Classroom and Classroom of the Elite, coincidentally. Has a current MAL score of 7.52.
And here's why we think that the score is going to go up.
I have no idea what the fuck is happening on screen. I don't know what is going on. There's playing cards, which kind of has abilities.
There's a young man who wants to save an
orphanage
and decides, you know what? I need money. What am I going to do? I'm going to fucking gamble. I'm just going to straight up gamble. I'm going to go to fucking Atlantic City or whatever like Vice City they have.
Then all of a sudden, like, violence ensues. People die by the truckload. People die.
We saw like a couple of the trailers and teasers about like what the high card was, and honestly, when we watched it, I thought it was corny as fuck.
Okay, so it can still be very corny, and I think it is very corny. But it's entertaining as fuck.
It's fucking violent.
Like don't think. Turn off your brain. It is just high octane. I don't know what is happening, but a lot of Michael Bay shit is happening, and people in suits, I guess, look suave.
It's Kakagurui, the assassination arc. Straight up, it is balls to the wall insanity.
But no depravity. It's just like the fuck is happening.
I was completely caught off guard.
The first 20 seconds, I was just waiting for like bullshit to happen.
Exactly.
And then the 20 seconds was just like.
When I was watching the first like minute of the first episode, I was like, did I just click the wrong link? Am I watching the right thing here? What the fuck's going on? And then all of a sudden, that's the lead up. Okay.
So explosions happen. Some briefcase gets open.
There's a murder island with a heist,
I guess. There is a sniper, but then no, there is a shriek, and that's Lala's voice. What the fuck does that mean?
And then like magic missiles start flying out.
Oh, and there's also apparently a king, because they cut to some guy. It's just like, oh, your majesty, you have to leave. And he's just like, no, I need to see this. And I'm just like, what is fucking happening? Then cut to like an American city of sorts.
With like a bunch of orphans, and then the guy's like, I'm going to save this orphanage.
And guess what?
Marbles.
And then we lost our marbles. And then people die. And then they, have a showdown. And then end of episode 1. I'm just like, what? Okay.
I'm going to keep watching this.
I'm going to keep watching this. I don't know what is happening on screen other than I can tell you things are happening on screen. And I just had a good time.
Yep. What else can we say?
I don't know, because I don't know what the fuck it is. It might be when they reveal the premise, it's real bad, or it just might not be what we think it is.
It could totally be a tacked up, right? It could literally like blow your mind the first episode, but then like completely crash and burn afterwards. But like I will at least give it a chance and just like continue riding this crazy train.
They are all in on this. I mean, not using gambling metaphors here, but they really put money where their mouth is, and they're betting that you would be entertained. And I have to say, I am thoroughly entertained.
Right. The next one that I'm not sure if you want to talk about because I'm not sure if you watched it.
Nope.
Ningen Fushin, adventurers who don't believe in humanity will save the world. I watched this morning.
Did you see the plot synopsis that I wrote?
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
I'll do you one better.
Okay.
So, Shield Hero.
Oh, yeah. What about Rising of the Shield Hero?
Dude gets fucked and he wants revenge, right?
Well, he got metaphorically fucked over, not literally fucked over, but sure.
Imagine there's 4 of them.
Oh, shit.
That's Ningen Fushin. But it's also kind of wholesome, too. Wholesome in the sense that
it's wholesome.
It's 4 adventurers who got betrayed and decide, you know what? Like, if we're going to be betrayed, why don't we trust each other and betray everyone else?
Okay, so they don't betray each other.
But they don't trust each other either because they've been betrayed and they've just lost sense of confidence and trust and all that. It's a very, very basic like revenge story, but mixed in with like 4 people who have different reasons for wanting to seek revenge.
So they are adventurers who don't believe in humanity will save the world?
Yes.
So it is based off of the light novel of the same name by Shinta Fuji, who did the story, and Sumu Kuroi, who did the art, published in English by Yen Press.
It looks good, too. Okay. By saying looks good, it's... Actually, you know what? It looks okay. But there are, like, some parts which are, like, PowerPoint presentation animation levels of quality. Is bad in that part. But I do want to know more about the story of these characters and continue on their journey because it's not like like a redemption story. It's more just like, well, this is what happens when people hit rock bottom, and it's not just one person, it's 4 of them, and decide, you know what, why don't we bring each other up? But I also don't fully trust who you are, but at the same time, it's because of that lack of trust that is also like breaking down the success of our party. So we need to learn how to trust each other. But how do we do that? We need to be methodically trustful of each other. We also need to be wary that we're going to betray each other at any minute. So it's calculated trust, confidence, and betrayal.
Okay. Well, we are running 2.5 now. Do you think we will get to Inukai? Do we have to?
Do we have enough time? Okay.
Okay. No. Okay.
Next one. Just watch how we're going to do this. Okay. So we have a couple more series to go over, but we are going to speed run a couple. One, Kubo Won't Let Me Be Invisible. Based on the manga of the same name by Nina Yukimori, published in English as a simul publication. School Won't Let Me Be Visible through Manga Plus service.
Wow, you're speaking real
published
fast.
by Viz Media since May 3rd, 2022. Produced by Panjam. Panjam did really, really well at DIY in terms of its looks. I think Kubo looks kind of similar as well. The current MAL score for its anime is 7.72. The manga score is 7.91. It's basically teasing Master Takagi-san.
That's what I wrote, yeah.
Done. Good. Would you recommend?
Yeah, very much.
Also, Kanahana is Kubo-san.
Yeah.
So, extreme recommend.
So, do you like Teasmaster Tan-san? Do you like Kanahana? Then shut the fuck up and watch this wholesome, comfy show.
Also, keep a watch out for Panjam. Panjam is doing really, really good work. Okay. Campfire cooking in another world with my absurd skill. Based on a light novel of the same name by Masa, who did the art, and Renaguchi, who did the story. Manga adaptation of the same name by the same people, except that the art is done by Akagishi K. Now, produced by Mappa, which I actually did not expect.
Yeah, me too.
That was crazy.
So both the manga and the light novel is published digitally in English by J Novel Club. The current MAL score is 7.61, which is higher than the manga and the light novel source. It's pretty comfy.
I think your plot synopsis is perfect as well. D&D in terms of like the magical fantasy action elements, the Amazon part where literally the guy's superpower is to be able to access an online supermarket and purchase whatever the fuck he wants. Granted, he has the money for it.
Like in a modern world, because it's an isekai.
And his main function within the party is he is the cook. But he's also kind of like a trader sort of thing. So he has to hire people to bring him from one place to another. And he uses his quote-unquote unique skill to be able to make money. So, yeah.
I just thought it was really funny that he gets isekai'd and then he is with a bunch of high school students, and they're all like, oh, I'm this hero. Oh, I have this awesome skill. I will definitely vanquish the demon. And he's just like, bro, I'm just gonna peace out.
There is one thing I do want to point out, and this is just from like a culinary perspective. It's not really a plot twist or a spoiler anyway. The guy makes a dish called pot au feu, which is a stew, like brothy kind of meat dish, but he makes it with pork. Now, traditionally,
Beef?
Yes.
There we go.
But the reason why they used pork is because historically, back in France, everyone was poor, beef was expensive, so they used pork. So, because this is an historical fantasy setting, it kind of makes sense.
Also, he killed a boar, right?
Yes. No, he didn't kill the boar. He cooked the boar.
Right. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
not beef.
Make do with what you got. I mean, I'm sure you're using the same skills. You need to use the right herbs and all that. Yeah.
Oh,
I like it, though.
I know. Yeah, I like it too.
I like it, too.
But let's see where the direction goes, because the end of episode 1 is kind of sus. It could go in the direction that is not what I'm expecting.
That was the part where it was a bit like, let's see where this goes.
Because I was hoping for the generic kind of cookie cutter, like, oh, let's just keep cooking and then keep going on adventures. And
It may just be that still, though.
I hope so.
Yeah. Controversial discussion here now. Nier Automata version 1.1a, based on the video game of the same, well, not the same name, but Nier Automata, which is a 2017 action role-playing game developed by Platinum Games and published by Square Enix. This anime is produced by A1 Pictures. I fucking hate it.
Raw mouse score of 7.50.
So
have you played Nier Automata?
I have, but I haven't finished it.
How many endings have you got?
I mean, I haven't finished it. Then
Oh, okay. You haven't even.
I haven't even got to that
Because
part.
technically, when you finished it once, you actually haven't finished the game.
I know. And so, therefore, if you haven't got enough of the endings of Nier Automata, you might as well also watch a fuck ton of them. So, you did finish the game. How many times did you finish it?
I finished it 100%,
But like,
or at least all of them.
like a hundo in terms of like you've seen every possible ending there is.
I mean, because like 20, I'm not gonna say a lot of the endings are just like, oh, you die, game over. You make a choice, game over. You pick the wrong choice, or you died here when you shouldn't have. But there are, I think, at least 6 major endings,
And
and it loops in of itself.
And that's what this series is. It's essentially a retelling of those endings, but
So, I don't know who this anime is for. It is extremely competently produced. Violet Evergarden voices 2B, the main female heroine. So, hey, good voice cast in general.
Voice acting was good.
9S, which is like the male main character, is of that character archetype. Fine.
Literally, the intro arc of the game is exactly how the first episode goes down.
And I think it was a good choice to do that. One thing is, I don't know who this is for, because if you liked Nier Automata, you would play the video game. If you watch this...
Yeah, exactly. If you've seen all the endings, then...
Yeah, if you watch this, you would be like, oh, I'll just play the fucking video game.
And as someone who hasn't finished the game, I'm not compelled to watch any of this because spoilers, I suppose. But at the same time, I guess my major criticism of it is the 3D.
It was all right.
It
was like all right.
You know that part where the mech just spins in the air? It looked super out of place and comical. That was just...
Oh, you mean Ikaruga?
Yeah, that it just didn't work for me. Is it a recommend? We don't know, because we don't know whether you've played the game. We don't know if you finished the game. We don't know if you've seen all 3 endings. All of the endings.
There's more than 3 main endings, just so you know.
And even if you fit in one of those types of categories, we still don't know if this is something you should go and check out. It's a shame, but it's A1 Pictures did well in some aspects.
I don't think it's a bad show. I just don't know who's it for. Therefore, I think it's a bad show. I don't think it's badly made. That's the issue. I just don't get it.
You got 10 minutes to talk about my life.
I did not watch it.
You actually didn't watch it.
I did not watch it. I did not watch My Life as Inukai-san's Dog, which is based off of the web manga of the same name by
Itsususe.
Oh yeah, because it's a student. It's
Itsuse, yeah.
It's who did the story and the art, produced by Quad. Spoiler alert, the uncensored version is called The Wonderful Version.
You can watch it on Bama TV. I think Hulu, for some reason, also has it too.
With very high, amazing score of 5.68 out of 10, the second lowest seasonal of winter 2023. What is it about, Will?
It's about a person who gets reincarnated as a dog and ends up being picked up by Inukai, who has a really weird yandere dog fetish kind of appeal. The first episode, which is each episode is only 12 minutes long, so it's like a half episode length. It's just of her taking a bath and bathing the dog.
And that wraps up.
The second episode is of her watching her dog pee.
And
then she also likes to lick dog noses and, really, really scrub her body very, very bubbly clean. The censorship is comical as well. It's very, very DxD level, where instead of the little bat wings for the DxD, it's using a little paw print from the dog. Very, very coincidentally, whenever she is supposed to be fully naked, the steam rises just in time to cover her body. Honestly, it's shit. It's really shit. I said it was amazing because of how fucking stupid this show is. It's mirror tights, but if you really wanted just pure degeneracy, at least there's a tease when it comes to watching mirror tights. If you can even access it, I don't even think it's online. Don't watch Inukai-san. I will also spend 1 minute talking about why I don't think Technoroid Overmind is actually the worst rated series. It's currently holding a 5.97. Actually, no.
Wait.
Oh, no. It should be 5.67.
5.67.
Yeah,
okay.
5.67. So it's 0.01 below My Life as Inukai-san's dog.
It's a mixed media project and produced by Doga Kobo.
Which, if you've seen in terms of last year's performance, Doga Kobo did not do very well.
So, what did Technoroid Overmind did? Explain to me how the Tower of Babel is supposed to be a tower that I ascend to.
It's a android boy idol group with a murder mystery.
Within a tower called Babel.
Yes. It's really, really, really
because they
good.
sing.
So here's the thing. The music actually is kind of lit. I think that the dance sequences, yes, it's a little bit 3D jittery, but it kind of looks okay. I don't think it actually should be the worst rated series, but I understand it being the most divisive one because, as we've seen earlier last year, with Idolish 7 Third Beat just destroying the raw score rankings, that's probably why I think that when you have, fans of idol groups, you vouch for the ones you love and you just shit on the ones you hate, and I think that's why Technoroid Overmind is a loser in this sense. But it's interesting because there's a lot of rumors that this whole series is supposed to act as a prequel for the game that releases at the end of it. So kind of in a way of how Tech Up Destiny was handled.
It's a mixed media project.
Yeah, so that's if you want to play the game, you probably should watch the anime. And this is just me saying, I don't think it's that bad. I'm not saying it's a 7 or an 8. Rather, I think it's a 6 point something. It's really not that awful. It's still shit, but it's not that awful.
I really don't think Will has a bad palate when it comes to anime, but you can always prove me wrong by reaching us through our email, gapalette@gmail.com. That's GAPALETTE@gmail.com, all lowercase, all one word. You can tell me as well how shitty, in terms of a decision that I make, in terms of my opinion, on Trigun Stampede with my handle @PaletteGood. That's capital P and capital G, all one word, on Twitter. Or you can go through our GAP Discord and yell at the both of us at how the angel spoils me. The angel next door spoils me rotten is actually one of the best shows ever. But you can also check out our website, www.goodanimepalette.com, all lowercase, all one word. But importantly, just like the music for this winter 2023 season, the music credits is extremely important because our intro music is In Your by Hasten, our break music is Botai by Oi, and our outro music is I Don't Mind, the instrumental version by Particle House. You can support the music artists that we feature by listening to them on Spotify, Apple Music, or other various music listening platforms. And our royalty-free music was provided by Epidemic Sound. If you're interested, you can sign up using our referral link that is in the show description. Terms and conditions apply. We ran pretty long this time around. We always run over 2.5 when it comes to all of the seasonals. There was a bit of us, celebrating the 50th episode, a bit of us picking the cleanup, and also because, to be honest, this season around, there was just some clear... I don't really know, but this season has a lot of different tastes for different people.
It's a very divisive season in the fact that it's a very...
It's an even playing field, literally, because...
2/3 of the anime that have scores are in the 7 range.
Right, so it's not you're on one side or the other. Now you are like the whole spectrum except for the poles, essentially, the either side. So I think that's why Will and I watch that much, and also told you a lot of all the shows that we watch. Because in general, we watch the same amount for each seasonal. I just felt that this time around, we went through all of them a lot more than usual.
Yeah, actually looking at the last 2 seasonal episodes, this one ran half an hour longer than the others.
Yeah.
But then again, it's also because we covered a lot more than the other ones, too.
I think there was just a lot more to talk about. I mean, we ran through...
The main reason why, though, is because, we just had to know. We just had to know, among those 7s, how much of those actually should be a little bit higher, how much of them should be a bit lower.
And it turns out not a lot should be higher or lower. In fact, all of them mostly should be within the same expectations. So,
pick and choose.
Yeah.
It's really if you like cooking shows, watch Campfire Another World, Campfire Cooking Another World. If you like, Otome games with a bit of a weird meta twist, then you should watch Cinderlise.
So ultimately, Will, I find it very difficult usually to recommend shows for winter 2023. Would you agree with that statement? There's no clear bangers.
Yeah, it's I will recommend this but it's not I can just flat out say you should watch it. Even the top 2, right? For me, which is Vinland Saga and Bungo Stray Dogs, you had to have watched the previous stuff.
So how would you do that? I don't think Genius Young Lady and the Reincarnated Princess I would wholly recommend to everyone. I think is rock solid. I just don't know what to recommend that I think is our surefire wins.
If I had to pick one out of everything that I think everyone should watch and hopefully enjoy, it will probably be Handyman Isekai. I think that would be the one that I would want to vouch for the most, only because I feel that the score is a little bit criminal. It should be a little bit higher, but again, this is just me really trying to push this anime to others, and it's not indicative of whether it actually is a good series. This is just my own personal perspective. If I were to ask you for one, it might not be that straightforward, right?
I really don't know. And I'm not trying to be difficult. I legitimately don't know.
But hopefully by listening to our snippets of what we thought and what we think is going to happen in the future for these specific series, it should at least give you enough of an idea of which ones to kickstart, which ones to leave on your plan to watch, or just drop completely and not bother. I guess that's pretty much it. Hopefully it gets a little bit more clear cut with spring 2023, but that we're just looking too far into the future at this point.
Look, it was a good season still. It's just
I very much enjoyed watching this stuff.
I think rather than having a lot shows that I will definitely watch and some I definitely won't watch, there'll be a lot of shows that I'll get around to it. I might add it or lower priority, or guess what? Will and I are just going to clean up 4 picks probably. I don't know.
Yeah.
And just see how the ratings go throughout the season, and then we'll know maybe a better idea of what to finish or catch up on. That's really it.
Yeah. It's still way too early in winter 2023 to definitively say these are the best shows or these are the worst shows. We're literally only 1 to 3 episodes in for the majority of them. So our thoughts and perspectives may not be fully reflected by end of season or even by end of year. So the judgment is, still out there. We don't know whether certain shows will actually perform to the best of their abilities or if some are just going to completely crash and burn. But we hopefully will report back and let you know, if our niggling suspicions of what was a good series actually ends up being good, or we end up being betrayed.
Happy episode 50, Will.
Yeah, and to all the listeners as well. If you're in Hong Kong or China, or you celebrate Chinese New Year, Happy Chinese New Year.
Happy Chinese New Year, guys. Is that really it?
I think that's pretty much it.
Wait, are we just going to keep going until you press stop?
Or do you want to run until we hit hour 3?
No. We're not going to fucking do that. But, like, I don't know how you're going to do this. Are you just going to fade me out? Is that what you're going to do? Are you just going to press stop at some point? I'm just going to keep on rambling until you press stop? Are you going to just keep doing? What are you pressing the off button? Is that what it is? Why are you holding that button, Will? Why are you coming close to me, Will? What is going on?
Bye.
Will, what are you doing?